I thought I had adopted nothing more than an extremely introverted cat girl who, if she held my gaze for over 3 seconds, would blush and faint from social anxiety. But the next day, I discovered a sweet milky scent on me that would not wash away. And every female co-worker who tried to approach me would resign the next day, terror written across her face. At first, I thought I was cursed. Then one night, I came home early and saw the cat girl who normally barely dared to breathe, kneeling inside my closet, frantically licking every shirt I had worn. Her eyes burned with a mad fanaticism. I tried to back away in horror, but she pounced, for bristling, and pinned me down. Her sharp claws pressed against my Adam's apple. I thought she was about to kill me. Instead, she whimpered and growled. "You're dirty. You reek of other women. I'll cover you, inside and out, with my scent, master. Then we'll see who dares come near you." With those sharp claws at my throat, I did not even dare swallow. That overpowering milky fragrance wrapped around me like an airtight net, strangling me tight. "Miao Miao, why you need to calm down first." My throat was dry, but I desperately tried to soothe her. I looked at the girl straddling me. Even in the depths of her madness, her face was still breathtakingly beautiful. Tears clung to her long lashes, giving her such heartbreaking fragility that I could not bring myself to be cruel. Yet the words from her lips sent me plunging into an icy abyss. "I am very calm, master." That night, I learned firsthand what an obsessive lover's absolute territorial instinct meant. To stay alive, I went along with her stiffly, like a wooden doll, letting her mark me like a beast claiming its territory. She worked that strange milky scent into me from my hair, all the way down to my heels, steeping me in it. Early the next morning, while she slept soundly on my chest, I did not even stop to put my shoes on properly. I scrambled out of the house. To work? No. I was fleeing to safety. I had only one thought in my head. The office was crowded, brimming with vital yang energy. As long as I stayed in the crowd, that insane cat girl would not dare come kill me in broad daylight, right? But I never imagined I would treat my office as a refuge, only for it to nearly become my crematorium. The strange events began the moment I reached my desk. My female supervisor, who was always getting handsy with me, had barely come within a few feet when she suddenly acted as if she had smelled the deadly poison. Her pupils went unfocused, and she vomited a huge mouthful of foul-smelling black blood. She fled the office in a panicked scramble, and by afternoon, she had someone rush through her resignation. I huddled at my desk, breaking out in cold sweat. Miao Miao's possessiveness was twisted, sure, but my supervisor's reaction was like she had seen a ghost. Just as I was losing it and about to call the police, the company brought in a stunning new chief executive officer, Shuang. Shuang was an icy beauty with an overwhelmingly powerful presence. After work, she abruptly pulled her Porsche in front of me, using a confidential project as an excuse. She firmly ordered me to take her to my home. Normally, I would have refused, but that day, I agreed as if possessed. I was simply too scared of the cat girl at home. I clung to one wild, desperate hope. A formidable woman like Shuang with that murderous air had to pack serious firepower. With her there to keep things under control, the mad woman at home would have to show some restraint, right? The instant I opened my front door, my heart leaped into my throat. Miao Miao was curled in the corner of the couch, wearing my oversized white shirt. The instant she saw Shuang, her shoulders jerked inward. Tears began pattering down her cheeks. She became that fragile girl again, the one who would faint from social anxiety after 3 seconds of eye contact. Shuang sneered. Her heels clicked sharply against the floor. She walked straight to my side, deliberately resting a hand on my shoulder. She looked down at Miao Miao. "This is the pet you keep. So timid. You should get rid of it soon." Before she had even finished speaking, the living room temperature plunged to freezing. The chandelier overhead let out a piercing crackle and flickered wildly. In that suffocating silence, something horrifying erupted. Shuang's cold, beautiful face began melting grotesquely like wax. The hand resting on my shoulder instantly became a black, withered vine covered in barbs, dripping, foul-smelling corpse fluid. A peerless pure yang body. "You hit it well. Once I drain you dry, I can break past the 100-year threshold." A raspy ghostly wail rose from Shuang's throat. She opened her blood-filled jaws and lunged for my carotid artery. My mind went completely blank. I'm done for. I had invited a predator into my home. Boom! At the final second, a blinding white flash tore through the air like lightning. A second ago, Miao Miao had seemed fragile and helpless. Now she floated in midair, across her snow-white skin, inch by inch. Ancient, mysterious golden demon markings burst forth. There was nothing grotesque or monstrous about them. Instead, they gave her an untouchable, sacred, icy beauty. The cattail behind her split and grew into three, radiating a terrifying, world-destroying pressure. She merely pointed one finger through the air. That tyrannical power directly crushed the once arrogant half of Shuang's body into a cloud of blood mist. 9-lived celestial cat. Why would an ancient great demon like you lower yourself to protect a mortal? Shuang slammed into the wall, her face twisted in utter terror. Miao looked down at her from above. Her exquisite face was filled with savage, murderous intent. I told you, the scent on him is my exclusive mark. Filth from the sewer doesn't deserve to touch what is mine. Only then did I finally understand. It felt as though all the blood in my body flowed backward. So that was it. Those female co-workers who had tried every way to get close to me were all low-level demons drawn by my special physique. Miao had not simply gone mad with jealousy. That unshakable milky scent she had planted on me was used by a supreme demon to frighten all ghosts and stake her claim. The ultimate protective ward. Ghostly blue karmic fire ignited at Miao's fingertips. Shuang was utterly reduced to ashes. The living room returned to dead silence. My legs went weak, and I collapsed onto the cold wooden floor, gasping for air. Miao turned around. The violent demon markings faded from her body like a receding tide. She cautiously came over to me. Thud. She softly sank to her knees. All the brutality vanished from her eyes, replaced by glistening tears, along with wounded panic that seemed ready to shatter her. Master. The way Miao looked just now, was it very scary? She clutched the hem of my shirt tightly. Her voice trembled like a leaf in the wind. Looking at her devastatingly beautiful, deeply deceptive expression, I drew a deep breath of air heavy with that milky scent. Once the fear faded, a strange feeling crept into my heart. Resigned to my fate, I reached out and ruffled her hair. Not scary. Just do not hide in my closet and scare me in the middle of the night again. Okay. Miao obediently rubbed against my palm and nodded sweetly. But then, the moment she lowered her head, her lips curled into an unseen, terrifyingly deranged smile. She leaned close to my ear and whispered in the faintest breath, "Oh, that will not do. There are so many bad things outside. Master is so foolish. Miao can only keep you locked at home forever and never let you go anywhere." Feeling her real touch beneath my palm and smelling that cloying milky scent that had soaked into me, I knew, for the rest of my life, I had completely fallen into the clutches of this possessive great demon. The mask was off, completely. Ever since that seductress demon, Shuang, was killed in an instant, Miao had completely discarded her socially anxious disguise. She still sweetly called me master at every turn, but her obsessive possessiveness made my scalp crawl. Now I could not even get near a female mosquito. The night before last, I went downstairs to take out the trash. A stray dog merely passed by and gave me one extra glance. The terrifying pressure radiating from Miao scared it into foaming at the mouth on the spot. It fled the neighborhood that very night. The milk scent barrier on me had grown so strong that even I went weak in the knees from smelling it. I tried to reason with her. Miao, I'm human. I need a social life. I need to clock in at work and earn money for cat food. At the time, she was obediently kneeling on the carpet, putting my socks on for me. At those words, her blue eyes instantly became slitted. Her icy fingertips gently traced my ankle. Be good, master. Money out there is too filthy. As long as master stays home. Miao's tails can conjure gold. One tail, 1 ton of gold. Is that enough? Looking at the 6 huge, fluffy tails behind her, stirring restlessly, I shamefully swallowed. But the scraps of reason I had left told me I absolutely could not give in. If I stopped leaving this door, I really would become a pet for the rest of my life. To prove I could still function in society, I forced myself to join a new company. But on my first day at work, a new intern set her sights on me. Her name was Wan'er. She wore her hair in twin ponytails, with 2 sweet dimples when she smiled. She kept calling me big brother in a syrupy, calculatedly innocent voice. At first, I was scared half to death. I thought another demon had come after my peerless pure young body. Yet the barrier Miao had left on me showed no reaction to her at all. Then, during lunch break that day, Wan'er cornered me in the break room. The sweetness vanished from her face in an instant, replaced by a cold, lofty arrogance. She held a purple talisman between her fingertips and slapped it hard onto my back. With a crackle, the milky scent I had smelled for months was temporarily suppressed. A peerless pure yang body, treated as a cultivation vessel by a mere beast. Big brother, do you know an ancient great demon has marked you? Lin Wan'er sneered. She drew a short peachwood sword carved with runes from beneath her skirt. I am a 38th generation inner disciple of Long Hushen. Come with me. I'll kill that demon cat for you. Hearing she was a legitimate demon hunting master, I did not feel saved at all. Instead, I drew a sharp breath. If you're hunting demons, then hunt demons. Why are your hands shaking? Why are you gulping while staring at me? The way this master looked at me was exactly like that essence-devouring seductress demon from before. She did not want to save me at all. She clearly wanted my body to. Boom! Before Lin Wan'er could drag me away, the break room's thick load-bearing wall was suddenly blasted to pieces as if it were made of cheap plaster. Amid the billowing dust, Miao wore that oversized white shirt, barefoot and floating in midair. But this time, she could not even be bothered to pretend. 6 cat tails burning with ghostly blue karmic fire lashed wildly behind her. Every window on the floor exploded at once. Her terrifying demonic aura made the air feel thick and sticky. Where did this rogue Taoist come from? You dare lay hands on my man? Miao tilted her head. A cruel, obsessive smile curled across her lips. The red glow in her eyes was so vivid it seemed ready to drip blood. Lin Wan'er bit her tongue until it bled. Her hands formed seals frantically. A mere 6-tailed cat demon dares to be so arrogant. Behold my grand 9 heavens mystic thunder array. Golden light burst forth in every direction. For a moment, I even thought this demon hunter had real skill. Yet Miao did not even raise a hand. The 6th tail behind her merely gave a gentle sweep. Crack! Lin Wan'er's prized golden protective aura shattered like a cheap glass ornament. Lin Wan'er screamed. An invisible force seized her by the throat and pinned her tightly against the wall. Miao teleported before her. Her sharp claws sliced across the demon hunter's face. Her voice was sweet, yet chilling to the bone. Every inch of his skin, every strand of his hair, even the air he breathes, belongs to me alone. Which hand did you use to touch him? I will chew that hand to pieces, inch by inch. All right. What followed was far too bloody. I could not bear to watch. In short, Longhu Mountain's gifted prodigy could not withstand even a single exchange. She was bundled up and tossed into a dumpster. Her resolve as a Taoist was shattered beyond repair. And from that day on, I reached the final chapter of my fate. After dealing with the demon hunter, Miao withdrew her tails and threw herself into my arms like a child who had done wrong. Her tears soaked my shirt. Master, the outside world is truly dangerous. There are not only bad demons and wicked exorcists who want to take you away too. As she cried, she took a chain she had conjured from nowhere, its dark gold runes flickering, and gently fastened it around my ankle. The chain felt icy cold, yet it carried her warmth and milky scent. I looked at the security bars outside the window, sealed shut completely. Then at the girl in my arms, her face full of unhealthy obsession. This impossibly powerful great demon clinging desperately to me, and suddenly gave up struggling. So, Master, do not go anywhere ever again. All right. She looked up at me. Strange love glimmered in her blue eyes. Miao will take very, very good care of Master. Forever. Together forever. Clink. The chain around my ankle chimed brightly. Footsteps sounded outside the bedroom door. She was coming with my meal. And it was time for me to become her own private canary. No one could save me. Besides, inside this damned milk-scent barrier, I seemed to be getting a little addicted. In the 3rd month of being kept by this possessive great demon, I had fully embraced a life where food came to my mouth, and clothes were put on me, a useless pampered existence. The bedroom door never opened again, but I did not feel miserable at all, because Miao truly kept her promise. She conjured mountains of solid gold bars. She bought me a top-of-the-line Alienware computer. She even replaced my drinking cup with a diamond-encrusted glowing goblet. My daily task was to lie on a genuine leather sofa, while this impossibly powerful, great demon waited on me like I was royalty, using her fluffy tail to cushion my back. But once people are well-fed and comfortably clothed, they tend to overthink. That afternoon, Miao lay across my lap, purring contentedly, while her fingertips gently stroked the dark gold chain around my ankle. Looking at her defenseless sleeping face, I finally could not stop myself from asking the question I had held inside for so long. Miao, you are an ancient 9-lived celestial cat. If you wanted to, even if pure yang bodies are extremely rare in this world, you could still find another one, could you not? Why are you so fixated on an ordinary office worker like me? Why be this obsessive? The hand stroking the chain suddenly froze. The room fell silent in an instant. Miao slowly raised her head. In those sapphire blue slit pupils, her usual possessiveness and madness were gone. Instead, a sorrow so intense it stopped my heart surged within them, mingled with aching longing. Master, do you really not remember anything? With a tap of her fingertip, a ghostly blue scroll of memory slowly unfurled before me. In the vision, it was a late night of thunder and pouring rain. 10 years ago, I was still a middle school student. Holding a broken umbrella, I passed a dead-end alley in the old district. Deep within the alley, a pack of low-ranking evil ghosts, covered in pus-filled sores and reeking of rot, were surrounding a dying little white cat. The cat was skin and bones, covered in wounds so deep that bone showed through. Her white fur had been dyed a shocking dark red. She had been undergoing her century thunder tribulation, only to be ambushed by her enemies. It was the 9-lived celestial cat, stripped of her powers and cast down from godhood. The me in that memory had no idea what those monsters were. I only thought a pack of wild dogs was tormenting a stray cat. In a burst of hot-headed courage, I grabbed half a brick from the corner and charged in. I wildly threw clumsy punches. Of course, a mortal's strength was useless against evil ghosts. Before long, I was clawed bloody all over. Just as one ghost prepared to bite through the little white cat's neck, I shielded her with all my strength. A huge gash was torn open across my arm, and in that instant, my blood dripped into the little white cat's mouth. Supreme pure yang blood. Blinding golden pure yang light erupted from the young boy's body. It instantly blasted apart those low-ranking evil ghosts, and forcibly stabilized the little white cat's soul, which was about to fade away. In the memory, the boy fainted, his face deathly pale. The little white cat painfully crawled to his side, then licked his cheek with her blood-stained tongue. An obsession that would last lifetimes was etched into her eyes. That drop of pure yang blood saved my life and bound our karmic destinies together forever. Miao's voice pulled me back from my shock. She gently stroked the arm where a faint scar remained from that day. Her voice suddenly began to tremble. But, Master, do you think possessing a supreme pure yang body is a blessing? To demons, it is the ultimate tonic, but in heaven's eyes, it means you are fated not to live past 20. Your soul is too pure. Even King Yama sees you as a feast. It felt as if lightning had struck me. I stood there, frozen. 20. I was exactly 20 this year. No wonder I had been plagued by illness and minor ailments all my life. No wonder these past 6 months, I had constantly felt cold to the bone. I even dreamed of the black and white reapers pacing beside my bed at night. Why do you think I left such a strong milky scent on you? Miao's eyes reddened. Huge tears fell onto the back of my hand. Burning hot. That is not a scent at all. It is my primordial inner core. I turn my cultivation and my fate, all of it, into a barrier spread over you, only by using the aura of an ancient great demon like me to completely conceal your scent. Can the underworld reapers fail to find you? She suddenly yanked up the dark gold chain around my ankle. That heart-stopping possessiveness and madness surfaced in her eyes again. This is not a chain. It is a pact to live and die together. Do you think I am keeping you captive? I am fighting King Yama for your life in his book of life and death. As long as you do not step outside this barrier, as long as you are always covered in my scent, not even heaven itself can take you away from me. The moment the truth came out, my mind went blank. It felt as though an invisible hand had clenched my heart in a crushing grip. All this time, I had thought she was an irrational, possessive monster, a madwoman who used violence and imprisonment only to satisfy her own desires. But who could have imagined that behind this suffocating love, so terrifying on the surface, was a deity once cast into the mud. To repay the debt of a single drop of blood, she was willing to stake all 9 of her lives against heaven itself. She was never truly afraid that someone would take me away. She was afraid that I would die. The overwhelming terror that, if I left her sight, I would vanish into nothing, had ultimately twisted her into this dangerously obsessive creature. I'm sorry, Master. Miao is a bad girl. Miao hurt you. She mistook my silence for rejection. A flicker of despair crossed her eyes. She released me, then tried to step back, like a condemned prisoner awaiting judgment. Just as she was about to retreat, I grabbed her and pulled her hard into my arms. The warmth of my pure yang body collided with the cloying sweet, milky scent clinging to her. It doesn't hurt. I rested my chin against her fluffy cat ears, feeling the petite body in my arms tremble, slightly with excitement. A wild grin suddenly spread across my face. Actually, I don't want to go to work either. The world outside is too dangerous. King Yama wants my life, too. Miao, you better keep me locked up tight. This life and the next. Don't ever let me get away. Miao suddenly lifted her head. Her sapphire blue eyes erupted with unprecedented fervor and delight. She reached out with both hands and clung tightly around my neck. Her 6 tails instantly wrapped tightly around us, sealing us inside an impenetrable cocoon. Of course, Master. Miao will forever hide you in my embrace. Not even heaven itself will be allowed to lay eyes on you. The chain chimed crisply in the darkness. In this room with its security bars welded shut, I willingly surrendered my soul. What was salvation? What was the abyss? I no longer cared. In that milky scent, sweet enough to drown in, I knew only one thing. I had fallen completely. It's updated. It's updated. Max level catgirl finally updated again. Ever since I surrendered to Miao's tender embrace, my whole world had shrunk to this bedroom, barely 30 square meters. Every morning, I was awakened not by an alarm, but by the crisp clinking of the dark gold chain around my ankle. Miao always rose early. She wore that oversized men's shirt, so loose it could slip off her shoulder at any moment. Like an obedient maid, she knelt beside the bed. In her hands was a pure gold platter piled with Wagyu beef. Master. Her sapphire-slit pupils brimmed with sweet, clinging obsession. She carefully fed the food into my mouth. If I chewed even a little too slowly, she would tremble in fright. Even her white cat ears would droop in terror. Is Miao's cooking not to Master's liking? Miao will make it again right away. Seeing her exquisite face on the verge of tears from panic, I could only helplessly rub her head, then swallow the food in my mouth. In everyday life, she worshipped me like a supreme god, lowering herself into the dust. Even when I played games, she would use her 6 fluffy, snow-white tails to wrap around my waist, to serve as the softest, most luxurious cushion in the world. I truly thought we would keep sweetly rotting away like this forever. Until the first rainy night after autumn began. A blood-red downpour raged outside the window. I was nestled in Miao's arms, scrolling through short videos, when suddenly, a piercing, bone-deep pain shot through my ankle. I looked down. On the dark gold chain symbolizing our pact to live and die together, a hairline crack had suddenly split open. The origin scent in the room that had always made me feel absolutely safe, that milky fragrance, instantly became as thin as paper. Bang! Shudder. Sudden, frantic impacts came from beyond the glass wall, making my scalp crawl, backlit by sickly green lightning. Outside the window, the glass was crowded with figures in tattered official robes, their faces gaunt underworld officers. The aura of my pure yang body had leaked out. Deathly pale frost blooms began spreading across the sturdy floor-to-ceiling window. Spiderweb cracks rapidly spread across it. Terror froze my entire body. I even forgot to breathe. But the next second, a pair of cold, soft little hands gently covered my eyes. Don't look, Master. Those filthy things outside will sully Master's eyes. Miao's voice remained sweet and syrupy, but its final note carried an absolute brutality and chill. I felt the petite body behind me suddenly rise into the air, radiating unimaginable pressure. Through the gaps between her fingers, I saw a crystal clear, deep blue, demonic flame instantly illuminate the whole room. It crashed with devastating force into the sickly green underworld miasma outside the window. There was no fierce battle, only an absolute, instant kill. When Miao removed her hands from my eyes, dead silence had returned outside. The underworld officers had burned to ash without even a scream. But the danger had not passed. Something was seriously wrong with Miao. She fell from midair, collapsing helplessly onto the wooden floor. A glaring streak of blood trickled from the corner of her mouth. The barrier is weakening. Nearly frantic, she crawled to my feet and clung tightly to my leg. Her sharp nails nearly dug into my flesh. Master's pure yang body is becoming ever more overpowering. She raised her exquisite yet deathly pale face. Her sapphire-slit pupils trembled wildly. Master, it seems physically masking your scent can no longer fool heaven. To weld this life-locking barrier completely shut, we can only use a deeper merging of bodily fluids to mark you again. She watched me with a feverishly obsessive gaze as she slowly unfastened the first button of her white shirt. My Adam's apple bobbed wildly. Instinctively, I tried to pull back, but the dark gold chain around my ankle held me firmly in place. Extreme intimacy and extreme mortal danger filled the room in an instant, just as there was no escape from this deadly situation. From the front door, silent for 3 whole months, came a sudden click. The front door was unlocked from outside with a key. A crisp, utterly familiar voice drifted from the entryway. Brother, why does your place smell like some fox spirit? They're merging. The possessive cat girl actually wants to merge bodily fluids with me, because she discovered that merely masking my scent could no longer deceive heaven. She can only leave a mark through deeper bodily fluid merging. But just as she unfastened the first button of her shirt, while the dark gold chain around my ankle held me firmly in place at that tense moment, the front door was suddenly unlocked with a key. Brother, why does your place smell like some fox spirit? That young girl's slightly disgusted voice was like a bucket of ice water at absolute zero, instantly extinguishing the bedroom's deadly, intimate atmosphere. The blood in my veins turned ice cold. My heart skipped half a beat. That voice belonged to Shen Xiaoyu, my younger sister, still in high school. Why had she suddenly come here? And why did she have my spare key? I was doomed. The string-called reason in my mind snapped clean in an instant. In the past, my sister showing up unannounced at my apartment would have been mortifying at worst. But now, I faced an ancient, unhinged great demon who had just crushed an underworld officer with her bare hands and was preparing a deep bodily fluid, marking me through a deep exchange of bodily fluids. Sure enough, the instant Shen Xiaoyu's voice rang out, Mao Mao, straddling me, froze completely. The atmosphere in the room seemed to sense her rapidly unraveling emotions, twisting instantly into an overwhelming and bone-chilling killing intent, heavy with warning. A female. Mao Mao lowered her head. Her snow-white bangs cast deep shadows across her face. Only those sapphire-slit pupils glinted with a terrifying, dangerous light. Another female is breathing master's air. Her voice dropped to freezing. It carried a godlike savagery that could crush anything. Tap, tap, tap. Shen Xiaoyu's footsteps echoed in the hall as she dragged a suitcase. Shen Lei, why are you locking your door in broad daylight? What are you doing in there? Caught completely off guard, Shen Xiaoyu shoved open the half-closed bedroom door. In that instant, our eyes met. The entire room sank into a deathly, freezing silence. Shen Xiaoyu stood in the doorway, dragging a pink suitcase. When she saw me lying there, clothes disheveled, with a stunning girl wearing white cat ears pressing me down beneath her, her annoyed expression instantly turned into utter shock, as if her whole world had shattered. Shen Lei, why you're actually at home with a cosplayer, playing this kind of perverted game? Shen Xiaoyu's little face flushed crimson with anger. She had no idea. She had just been dancing wildly at death's door. No, Xiaoyu, run. Get out of this room. I let out a desperate roar, ignoring the dark gold chain biting bloody marks into my ankle. I used every ounce of strength to throw Mao Mao off me, but it was too late. The 6 cat tails behind Mao Mao instantly fluffed up. Each stood straight like a sharpened sword. Crystal clear, deep blue magical karmic flames erupted from her pale, slender fingertips. She dirtied the air around Master. She dirtied it all. Mao Mao slowly turned her head. She looked down on Shen Xiaoyu in the doorway. Killing intent overflowed from her face. Kill her. As long as I burn her to ash, Master will belong to Mao Mao alone again. Before she finished speaking, the deep blue karmic flame that could instantly kill underworld officers shot straight at Shen Xiaoyu's face. Mao Mao, don't you dare. She's my little sister. She shares my blood. At that critical moment, I burst forward with speed beyond human limits. I grabbed Mao Mao tightly around the waist, forcibly pulling her entire body back into my arms. Boom! The deep blue karmic fire flew past Shen Xiaoyu's scalp. It instantly melted a huge hole through the solid wooden door. Shen Xiaoyu's legs gave out in terror. She crumpled onto the floor. Her suitcase crashed over beside her. She gasped for air in great heaving breaths. Only then did she truly feel that. The desperate terror of being utterly outclassed. Sister. Mao Mao, held tightly in my arms, suddenly froze mid-motion. That world-ending pressure of a great demon vanished instantly. The 9-lived heavenly cat, murderous just moments ago, suddenly became like a puppy that had done wrong. Her white cat ears drooped miserably. Master yelled at me. Mao Mao knelt on my lap. Her large, watery eyes instantly filled with glistening tears. Clutching the hem of my shirt tightly, she spoke in a heartbreakingly fragile sob, demanding an answer that made my scalp prickle. Master yelled at Mao Mao for another woman. Mao Mao's heart hurt so much. So what if she shares your blood? She looked at Master. Those eyes were on Master's body. Mao Mao lay against my chest. Her tears pattered down. But somehow, she was holding an ice pick gleaming with cold light. Mao Mao will not kill her. Mao Mao will gouge out her eyes, cut off her hands and feet, and put her in a jar as an ornament for Master. Would that be okay? then Master will not be angry at Miao Miao anymore. Hearing her use the sweetest voice to utter the bloodiest, most deranged threats, cold sweat instantly soaked my back. Shut up. Put out the fire. Without my command, you are not to touch a single hair on her head. I summoned every ounce of authority I had as her master. I tightly pinned down the hand holding the ice pick. Miao Miao's face was full of obsession and resentment, but beneath my stern gaze, she still pouted miserably. She put away the ice pick. Then, like a cat claiming her territory, she forcefully buried her face in the crook of my neck, breathing in my scent greedily. Just as I breathed a sigh of relief and prepared to calm Shen Xiaoyu, who was nearly frightened unconscious, Shen Xiaoyu, crumpled on the floor, seemed to suddenly come back to her senses. Her gaze passed through the melted bedroom door, and she glanced at her phone screen. Her face turned even paler than before. Shen lay. Shen Xiaoyu swallowed hard. Her voice trembled like a leaf in the wind. But what she said next directly shoved the life I had only just dragged back from the brink, back into an abyss of eternal ruin. I did not mean to interrupt you. It was Aunt Zhang Guifang. Mom said, and Zhang Guifang had someone read your fortune. They said your fate is cursed by a lonely, baleful star, and you must marry this year to break the curse and save your life. Shen Xiaoyu tremblingly reached into her pocket and pulled out a bright red invitation. She tossed it onto the mirrored floor from far away. Aunt Zhang Guifang arranged a blind date for you. That woman is waiting downstairs for you right now. A blind date? It was like I had been struck by lightning. My mind buzzed, then went completely blank. Those 3 words, in the current situation, were a nuclear level trigger. In the room, the cloying, sweet scent of milk that had just settled instantly became thick, cloying, and suffocating. I felt Miao Miao, buried in the crook of my neck, stop breathing. Then Miao Miao's head tilted at an incredibly strange, spine-chillingly mechanical angle, slowly to one side. With a bang, every remaining piece of glass in the room shattered. Her slit pupils, which had regained their clear brilliance, became a lightless abyss of death. A blind date. That means Master is going to marry another woman. She snapped, completely snapped, when the obsessive cat girl heard my sister was setting me up with a blind date. She went completely dark. Seeing her fall apart like this, I frantically tried to cup her face. No, Miao Miao, listen to me explain. But her body was cold as ancient ice. Master does not want Miao Miao anymore. Miao Miao did not lash out as she had before. Instead, like a rag doll utterly abandoned, she slid helplessly off me and collapsed before the shattered floor-to-ceiling window. She lowered her head. Huge, glistening tears poured down her exquisitely pale cheeks and struck the floor. Miao Miao worked so hard. Miao Miao even gave Master her primordial inner elixir. Every day, Miao Miao kneels to feed Master. Miao Miao uses her tails as cushions for Master. But Master still thinks women outside are better. Does he not? As she wept, she neurotically used those pale, slender hands to claw at her own chest. Her nails even raked vivid bloody marks across her white shirt. Brother, what is she? Shen Xiaoyu trembled all over as she sat collapsed in the doorway. She pleaded with me through tears. Xiaoyu, shut up. If you do not want to die, do not make a sound. I growled at my sister in desperation. Then I scrambled to Miao Miao on my hands and knees. I pulled her tear-streaked face tightly into my chest. No, I do not. I do not even know whether Aunt Zhang Guifang introduced a person or a ghost. How can I possibly go on a blind date? I swear, in this life, the next life, in every life, I will want only Miao Miao. I will not take one step outside this room. Hearing my near-hysterical declaration, the small, cold, trembling body in my arms finally went rigid. After several suffocating seconds of silence. Really? Master is not lying to Miao Miao. Miao Miao slowly raised her head from my arms. Tears still clung to her exquisitely elegant features, when a smile of heartbreaking, tragic beauty suddenly blossomed. Sweet, yet sickeningly deranged. Since Master does not want her, then that woman is the filthy thing here to steal Master away. Miao Miao extended her soft tongue and seductively licked away the tears at the corner of her mouth. The 6 white tails behind her bloomed again. Master said Miao Miao must not touch a hair on your sister's head. Miao Miao is a good girl. Miao Miao listens to Master, she murmured in a syrupy, cloying voice, while obediently pressing her cheek to my palm and nuzzling it. But that bitch downstairs who does not know her place. Master never said Miao Miao cannot touch her, did he? Before her words had faded, an aura even more terrifying than when she instantly killed that underworld enforcer. 10 times over, the sacred pressure of a great demon, erupted violently from her body. The air became razor-sharp, icy blue, magical blades spinning wildly around her. I will peel off her skin right now and make it into a rug before Master's bed. Then Master can step on her every morning when he gets up. No. Mao, calm down. Murder is against the law. I was scared out of my wits. I desperately yanked the dark gold chain around my ankle, trying to drag her down with its sheer weight. But then, something changed. The normal air in the hallway outside suddenly turned thick and putrid. That smell was exactly like those demons at my company, whom my constitution had attracted before. Except it was 100 times stronger. Mao, hovering in midair, abruptly froze. Her slit pupils instantly narrowed with utter disgust. Such a heavy corpse aura. Mao sneered. Her exquisite, elegant face was full of arrogance and contempt. That idiot mortal, Zhang Guifang, the blind date she arranged for you, is not human at all. What? Shen Xiao and I still collapsed on the floor. Both sucked in a sharp breath. Thud, thud, thud. Heavy, stiff footsteps, as though dragging thick liquid, were climbing the stairs outside my home, one step at a time. With every step, another hallway light outside burst with a sharp crack. Since it has come, then I will not have to go downstairs to dispose of this trash myself. Mao slowly descended to the floor. She naturally shielded me behind her. The 6 white tails behind her erupted with a dazzling, sacred deep blue radiance, illuminating the entire polluted hallway. Knock, knock, knock. Dull knocking sounded outside the open security door. A woman shrouded in sickly green acidic light, her body grotesquely bloated, her face caked with white powder and crimson lipstick, stood at the far end of the entryway. Her completely black eyes, with no whites at all, stared past Shen Xiao and greedily fixed on me. Nauseating yellow mucus streamed from the corners of her mouth, stretched to her ears. It hissed against the mirrored floor, corroding it into white smoke. Brother Shen Lei, I have come for our blind date. You smell so delicious. The monster gave a coquettish whine, shrill as nails scraping glass. Mao, shielding me, turned around at that moment. An unbearably sweet, utterly mad smile graced her beautiful face. Deep blue karmic fire instantly ignited in her eyes. Master, the bride has arrived. Let Mao scatter her ashes into the sewer for you, as a wedding gift. Would that not be lovely? Unbelievable, unbelievable. I never imagined Zhang Guifang's blind date match was a malevolent spirit. Seeing this, the obsessive cat girl gave a sweet, utterly crazed smile. Master, the bride has arrived. Let Mao scatter her ashes into the sewer for you, as a wedding gift. Would that not be lovely? The instant she finished speaking, my blind date let out a piercing shriek. Her huge, bloated body moved at a speed that defied all reason, hurtling at me like a sickly green ball of flesh. Brother Shen Lei is mine. I will eat your flesh and drink your pure yang blood. With that nauseating coo, the monster opened her gaping maw, split nearly to her ears, and sprayed a torrent of fluorescent green acidic venom. Shen Xiao screamed in terror, clamping her hands over her eyes. But before absolute overwhelming power, every ugly struggle was futile. How dare a lowly maggot gaze upon my deity? Mao did not move a single step. In an instant, the 6 cat tails behind her surged outward like a fan of swords. The tails curled down gently, forming a soft white cocoon, protecting Shen Xiao and me on the floor within its embrace, shielding us from the stench and venom. The other four carried unstoppable deep blue karmic fire and met the deformed monster head-on. Boom! A dazzling collision of blue and gold light erupted through the entire hallway. The nauseating fluorescent green acid touched the deep blue karmic fire and vanished without even a sizzle. Arg! 9-lived heavenly cat. Why are you here? Lord City God, save me. The monster screamed in utter horror. Its bloated, deformed body twisted violently and came apart in the deep blue flames. In less than 3 seconds, the once arrogant, foul-smelling blind date monster was utterly reduced to ashes. Whew! The white tails protecting Shen Xiao and me slowly unfurled. Mao, who had just crushed everything like a merciless tyrant, turned, and the demonic markings on her body receded like the tide. She effortlessly slipped back into that pitiful, weak, fragile guise. With a thud, she dropped to her knees. She shuffled forward on her knees and threw herself into my arms, raising her pale, breathtakingly beautiful face. Master. Mao dirtied the house. Is Mao useless? Tears shimmered in her eyes. Like a kitten seeking praise yet fearing punishment, she gently nuzzled my palm. No, you did very well. Still shaken, I swallowed hard. I instinctively stroked her white fur. Beside us, Shen Xiaoyu was completely dumbfounded. Her mind clearly could not process someone destroying the world one moment, then kneeling the next, begging to be petted. Brother, the monster is dead. I panted heavily, just about to pull my sister off the floor, when suddenly, Miao abruptly froze. Her soft white cat ears perked up in alert. Something is wrong, master. Something on her did not burn away. Miao rose and approached the pile of black ash in the entryway. Within that pile of ash, a tiny, blinding crimson glimmer flickered. Miao flicked a fingertip through the air. A stiff scarlet card edged with strange gold filigree slowly floated out of the ashes. That thing was actually resisting the 9-lived heavenly cat's karmic fire. What is that? A powerful sense of dread rose within me. Miao said nothing. She stared fixedly at the red card. But then a chilling, deathly stillness settled over her beautiful features. This is no ordinary low-level demon. This is a ghost marriage betrothal contract, bearing the official seal of the city god temple. What? I felt as if struck by lightning. Miao held the red card between two fingers, and coldly read the words written upon it. Zhang Guifang, using her nephew Shen Lei's birth chart as the bond, has pledged him as the wife of the corpse-eating ghost king under the city god temple. The wedding is set for midnight tonight. She is begging to be petted, begging to be petted. After killing her romantic rival, the cat girl knelt before me and begged to be petted. She instantly switched back to that pitiful look, asking me, Master, Miao dirtied the house. Is Miao useless? This scene left my sister, Shen Xiaoyu, completely dumbfounded. But just then, within the blind date ghost corpse, burned into black ash, a blinding crimson glimmer flickered. Miao flicked a fingertip through the air. A stiff scarlet card, its edges patterned with strange gold filigree, slowly rose from the ashes into the air. It was unmistakably a contract bearing the seal of the city god temple. A ghost marriage betrothal contract. The words on it struck me like lightning. Zhang Guifang, using her nephew Shen Lei's birth data as a bond, has pledged him as the wife of the corpse-eating ghost king under the city god temple. The wedding is set for midnight tonight. She is insane. Completely insane. And Zhang Guifang did not just arrange my blind date. Behind my back, she sold my birth chart to an underworld ghost king, forcing me into a ghost marriage. No wonder that monster dared force its way in against an ancient demon's crushing aura. It had not come to eat anyone. It came with official papers to collect its bride. How wonderful. Miao suddenly laughed. It was utterly obsessive, incredibly sweet, yet a sickeningly cold laugh that made my skin crawl. The deep blue karmic fire in her palm instantly darkened to a violently savage purple. When the heavenly Tao cannot claim master, it resorts to such vile, overt schemes. If master's living relatives can sell him, if these filthy things will covet him as long as he remains human. Miao instantly appeared before me. She gripped my cheeks tightly in both hands. Suffocating possessiveness churned in her dull, lifeless eyes. Master, let us stop being human, okay? Miao has just decided. I will drain your soul, forge your bones and blood into Miao's own life-bound demonic artifact, and fuse it into Miao's body forever. Then Shen Lei will no longer exist in the Lord of Hell's book of life and death. Utter terror swept through my entire body. This was a death trap 100 times more hopeless than being taken away to marry the ghost king. Because this time, the one who wanted to erase my existence was the one who constantly claimed to love me, the obsessive ancient demon who had even knelt to serve me. Miao, you are insane. Let go of my brother. Shen Xiaoyu screamed and lunged at her, trying to pry Miao's hands apart. But at that split second, amid the chaos and lethal standoff, ring, 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 a shrill, abrupt cell phone ringtone blasted through the hallway. Everyone froze. Shen Xiaoyu instinctively checked her pocket. And no, it is not my phone. I shook my head too. The three of us turned our eyes slowly toward the entryway, following that eerie ringtone. The sound came from the monster's remains, now burned into black ash. The pile of ash gave a faint twitch, as if it were alive. An old cell phone with a shattered screen still flashing a ghastly white light was raised by a deathly pale, fleshless skeletal claw from deep within the ashes. An incoming caller ID flashed on the broken screen. And Zhang Guifang. Those words were like a death warrant, absurd and horrifying in the dead silent entryway. My blood turned to ice. Miao, still gripping my face tightly, and preparing to forge me into her personal demonic artifact, also froze in place. Master's blood relatives are quite amusing. Miao risked her life and exhausted every means to hide you. Yet your relatives are rushing to send you a death warrant. An utterly deranged sneer curled across Miao Miao's lips. She crooked one finger slightly. Crack! The skeletal claw was instantly crushed to dust by deep blue karmic fire. The phone traced an arc through the air and landed steadily in Miao Miao's palm. She put the call on speakerphone and thoughtfully turned the volume all the way up. She is losing it again. The obsessive cat girl is losing it again, and again, and again. Because Miao Miao could not overcome the underworld's rules, or stop the heavenly Tao from coveting me, she decided to refine my soul and fuse it into her body, erasing my name from the book of life and death. But just then, the aunt who had promised me to the corpse-eating ghost king called. Lei, did you open the door? Have you met your new bride? From the other end of the call came Aunt Zhang Guifang's utterly ordinary voice, along with the click-clack of sunflower seeds cracking at a crime scene where a monster had just been reduced to drifting ashes. That mundane family chat tone was chilling. Annie, why would you do this? My eyes bloodshot, I roared into the phone. Behind my back, you sold my birth chart to a man-eating monster and forced me into a ghost marriage. The seed cracking stopped on the other end. After several seconds of dead silence, Zhang Guifang showed no panic at being exposed. Instead, she let out a shrill, horribly twisted sneer. Lei, how can you be so ungrateful? Annie is helping you make yourself useful one last time. The fortune teller said you would not live past 20. You only finished middle school. A worthless food delivery boy. So, what use is your pathetic life? Zhang Guifang's voice suddenly turned ravenous, with rapid breaths between her words. As long as we give you two Lord Ghost King in a ghost marriage, your cousin will definitely pass the civil service exam this year. Our family will even get a huge upscale apartment downtown. You can help your promising cousin before you die. That is a blessing you would need 8 lifetimes to earn. Be good. Get into the bridal carriage obediently. Do not hold back your cousin's future. I trembled with rage. My stomach churned violently, and the taste of blood surged into my throat. Brother. Shen Xiao lay collapsed on the floor, drenched in tears. She clamped a hand over her mouth, clearly unable to believe that her own relative was such an evil ghost wearing human skin. Enough nonsense. Lei, since you answered the call, the Ghost King's vanguard has already crossed your threshold. Zhang Guifang's voice suddenly became sinister and strange, as if something had possessed her. Once the blood pact made from your birth date and time crosses your threshold, not even the greatest immortal can save you. Get in the sedan obediently. Beep beep beep. The call ended instantly. Almost the very second it disconnected, something bizarre happened. On the entryway floor, where Miao Miao had burned everything to nothing, the ghost marriage betrothal contract began to burn on its own. There were no flames, only a violently pungent crimson blood mist. Then the mist exploded through the room. In midair, it rapidly condensed into countless, visible crimson chains. With unstoppable force, they pierced straight through Miao Miao's protective barrier. With a wet crunch, the chains plunged deep into my chest. Ugh! A blood-curdling scream tore from my throat. Soul-rending agony exploded in my chest. Below my collarbone, an incredibly ugly, twisted, glowing blood seal marked with the character for the underworld appeared. It was hungrily devouring the gold and demonic markings Miao Miao had previously left on my body. Master! Miao Miao let out a desperate, savage scream. Utter madness ignited in her eyes. You dare steal someone from Miao Miao? Die! She lunged forward without a thought for herself. Deep blue karmic fire blazed in both hands, as she desperately tried to sever the chains connected to my chest. Blue magical particles and crimson blood mist collided wildly across the room. Deep blue and crimson shredded each other in midair. The blinding light nearly tore my retinas apart, but they would not break. This was a blood pact forged from my birth data, personally sealed by an elder blood relative under the laws of heaven and earth. This was causality enforced at the level of the rules themselves. It is useless. Miao Miao. I dropped to one knee in agony, vomiting mouthful after mouthful of blood. My vision became horribly blurred. I could clearly feel an irresistible force dragging my soul down into the depths below. Miao Miao will not allow it. Your life is mine. Miao Miao cried out in despair. Tears poured down like a burst dam. She gave up attacking the chains entirely. Instead, she wrapped her 6 snowy white tails tightly around me. She tried to use her great demon's core power against those underworld laws in a literal tug of war. Just then, the most horrifying thing happened. The wooden floor beneath our feet suddenly turned transparent, like melting ice and snow. In the final second before weightlessness struck, I saw only the warm, beloved glow of the bedroom. rapidly shrinking from view, until darkness swallowed it whole. Despair. Absolute despair. When she realized the chains were dragging me away, and the obsessive cat girl could not cut them no matter what she did, she simply wrapped all 6 tails around my body, and prepared for a physical tug-of-war with the chains. But then something even more terrifying happened. The floor beneath us suddenly became transparent, like melting ice and snow. Boom! It felt as if my organs had been shattered. When I opened my eyes again, the world before me made me gasp. This was not the mortal world. It was a completely ruined realm of darkness. The sky was a deathly, absolute black. Countless crimson geometric lines crisscrossed and cut across the heavens. The hills and fields were filled with beings that had no features. Strange humanoid shapes like black silhouettes. They stared at me with fiercely greedy crimson gazes. Thud! An 8-bearer ghost bridal sedan glowing red landed before me. The contract bearing my birth data for the ghost marriage floated in midair, radiating irresistible blood-red light that held me down. Husband, the gates of the underworld have closed. You cannot escape. A ghostly wind lifted the sedan's curtain. A young bride in a phoenix crown and red bridal robes, but with no features, only an enormous crimson mouth, slowly floated out of the sedan. Her voice echoed eerily. Insolence. Miao, dragged into the abyss with me, unleashed a piercing howl. Dense golden demonic markings erupted over her breathtaking face. Her 6 snow-white cat tails surged in size. She tried to tear apart the laws of the underworld. 9-lived celestial cat. Here in the netherworld, the heavenly Tao blood pact has been sealed. You are merely a demon immortal. You dare defy fate? The Ghost King's bride sneered. Her shadowy fingers clenched. Crunch. The chains erupted in blinding blood-red light, becoming countless spectral shackles that instantly pinned Miao to the ground. Her deep blue karmic fire was brutally suppressed. Miao violently spat out a mouthful of blood, staining her once pristine white shirt red. Brother. Miao. Shen Xiao collapsed in the distance, screamed in despair. But 2 black silhouette imps held her down so she could not move. The chains in my chest tightened again. An immense force dragged me toward the ghost sedan. Despair. This was certain death. Do not touch him. Never. Miao, pinned to the ground, suddenly gave a deeply sick, unhinged chuckle. She slowly raised her head. At that moment, mad golden flames consumed her sapphire blue slit pupils. A heavenly Tao blood pact. The laws of the underworld. Ha ha. Miao laughed with savage fury. Blood at her lips accentuated her exquisite, beautiful features, giving her a haunting beauty and madness that could steal anyone's soul. I think you've got one thing wrong. Miao truly cannot defeat the underworld's laws. But if I turn master into a demon like Miao, will your pathetic mortal world betrothal contract still hold any power over a great demon? Do not even dream of touching him. He is mine. Even every strand of his hair is mine. The instant she finished speaking, there came a bone-cracking sound that set my teeth on edge. Miao forcibly snapped both of her shackled arms. She became a blue and gold blur and teleported before me. She seized my face in both hands. Master. Deep marking begins. From now on, you can only stay with Miao, forever and ever. Without hesitation, she bit through the tip of her tongue. With an overwhelmingly rich, suffocatingly sweet milk and blood scent, she fiercely pressed her lips to mine. Boom! An incredibly dazzling, ancient core, radiating sacred golden light, was forcibly transferred into my mouth. It shot down my throat and slammed into the depths of my soul. My supreme pure yang blood and the ancient great demon's core completed the deepest forbidden fusion. In an instant, an unstoppable blue and gold magical radiance exploded outward from the 2 of us in every direction. It was a dazzling, overwhelming wave of purification. To protect me, the stunning white-haired cat girl had snapped her own shackled arms. Covered in blood, she threw herself into my arms. With that cloyingly sweet milk scent, she fiercely kissed me. She drove the great demon's core deep into my soul. Master, you can only stay with Miao, forever and ever. The moment she finished speaking, blue and gold radiance exploded outward from us. The oppressive black sky, the crimson geometric lines, and the floating betrothal contract shattered inch by inch like fragile glass before that holy blast. This king's blood pact. You actually gave him your divine spark. You mad woman. The Ghost King's bride let out one final, piercing scream. Along with that neon ghost sedan, she was completely vaporized into nothingness by the blinding light. The entire projection of that ruined realm collapsed beneath that tyrannical blast of demonic power. Intense weightlessness struck again. Thud. When I opened my eyes again, that familiar glow filled my vision again. The familiar feel of hardwood pressed against my back. We were back in our modern bedroom with its security bars welded shut, spotlessly clean and perfectly orderly. Ha! I gasped for breath. Cold sweat soaked my body. The lethal chain and the underworld blood sigil on my chest had vanished completely. Miao Miao lay weakly across my chest. Her cat ears drooped limply from overexertion. Master, Miao Miao gave you her life. Even if you want to die now, you will not be able to. With her eyes closed, she sweetly murmured in the faintest breath, then fell into a deep sleep. We won. By the mad act of turning me into a half-demon, she had torn apart heaven's death trap. I let out a long breath. I was just about to lift Shen Xiao, who had also fainted beside me, when suddenly, ring, 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 a sharp, clear phone ringtone abruptly rang through the quiet bedroom. My whole body froze. My nerves tightened again. The ringing came from Shen Xiaoyu's pocket on the floor. Carefully, I pulled out the phone. My gaze fell on its screen. The caller displayed on the screen was not Zhang Guifang, nor was it any relative. It read, "Brother." I went still. What did that mean? My own phone was still in my pocket. I had not touched it at all. Who was calling Shen Xiaoyu? With a chilling sense of dread, I inexplicably pressed answer. On the other end came a terrified, young girl's sobbing voice, ragged with heavy breaths. Brother, brother, run. Do not turn around. That thing which fell down with you earlier, the thing wearing my clothes, was not me. My blood froze solid. Just then, less than half a meter from my ear, the Shen Xiaoyu sprawled on the floor suddenly began to giggle eerily. So you found me, husband. I stiffly turned my head. On the face of my own little sister, a lipless mouth slowly split open. A hideously crimson, gaping maw. Husband, did you think wrecking the underworld would get you away from me? That eerie, androgynous voice came straight from Shen Xiaoyu's throat, layered with a scalp-crawling echo. My mind went blank with a buzz. In the final second before the underworld collapsed, that cunning ghost king had abandoned her true body and possessed Xiaoyu's fallen coat to follow us back. My real sister was still lying in the corridor, her fate unknown. My sister-in-law's shell is too frail, but to devour you in the mortal world, it will do. Shen Xiaoyu burst into piercing, maniacal laughter. The clear whites of her eyes were instantly swallowed by absol black. The bones in her slender fingers cracked with a teeth-grinding sound. They swelled into 10 horrific claws like black steel spikes. Shrieking through the air, they tore straight for my heart. The beautiful cat girl who had broken her arms to transfer her core and save me lay weak and helpless in my arms. But when I turned around, my little sister's face had split into an evil ghost gaping maw. 10 steel spiked claws, trailing a ghostly wind, ripped through the air and clawed for my heart. And against my chest, Miao Miao had forcibly torn out her core, leaving her utterly weak and unconscious. Her white cat ears drooped, completely defenseless. If I dodged, that claw would pierce straight through Miao Miao's skull. You will not touch her. With terror and the urge to protect her twisting together, I unleashed an inhuman roar. Not only did I not dodge, I whirled around instead, using my broad back to shield the tiny Miao Miao in my arms. Squelch! It was the dull sound of a blade sinking into flesh, but the soul-rending pain I expected never came. The bright, dream-like glow filling the bedroom seemed to freeze in that instant. What kind of fire is this? Behind me came the Ghost King's piercing, utterly disbelieving scream. Slowly, I opened my eyes. I looked down at my hands, only to find intensely brilliant blue and gold magical light flowing beneath my skin. It was the ancient great demon's primordial inner core, which Miao Miao had forced into me. Inside me, it was reacting with my supreme pure yang blood. In an unprecedented chemical reaction, I turned around. The Ghost King's black claw, aimed at my back, had not pierced my skin. Instead, as though it had touched tens of thousands of degrees of superheated plasma, it was being savagely consumed by blinding pure yang golden fire. Impossible. You are only a mortal. How can you withstand a great demon's core? Your body should have exploded on the spot. Shen Xiaoyu's face twisted grotesquely. She desperately tried to pull back her hand, but that tyrannical blue and gold light was already racing up her arm. No rotten flesh fell away. There was only, amid the collision of dazzling light, a glittering spray of motes, scattering like shattered stars. On my turf, wearing my sister's face. You still dare try to kill me? I slowly rose to my feet. I gently placed the still sleeping Miao Miao on the pure white sheets. When I saw my face in the full-length mirror, even I was stunned. Beneath that brilliant, blinding glow, my ordinary black eyes had transformed into eerie slit pupils, one gold and one blue. A sacred, golden celestial cap mark had appeared on my brow. Otherworldly beauty, a sickly pallor, and an overwhelming sense of divinity had merged perfectly in a human body. Get out of my sister's body. I sharply raised my hand. Awkwardly yet instinctively, I formed a hand seal. In an instant, all the dreamlike light in the room seemed to be drained away at once, gathering in my palm. It became a crystal clear, blinding beam of pure Yang demon fire, striking the Ghost King squarely in the chest. Boom! There was no violent collision, only instant destruction and purification. The Ghost King's fragment of a soul attached to the pink coat gave out, amid that blue and gold blaze, one final piercing cry of despair. It was instantly vaporized without a trace, leaving not even a speck of ash. Thud! The pink coat, no longer sustained by that soul fragment, drifted softly onto the mirrored floor, and that twisted false body of Shen Xiao also became a skyful of dazzling, glowing motes that faded into the air. The danger was finally over. As the intense light faded, the power I had just awakened was instantly torn from my body. An overwhelming weakness washed over me like a tide. My legs gave out, and I collapsed to my knees beside the bed, gasping hard. The gold and blue heterochromia in my eyes gradually faded, returning to their original black. Just then, a pair of icy cold, yet impossibly soft little hands suddenly wrapped tightly round my neck from behind. Master, were you protecting Miao just now? A syrupy sweet whisper thick with a nasal tone sounded by my ear. I turned my head and met Miao's azure slit eyes, which I had not noticed, had already opened. Beneath a tender blue-violet glow that made one ache to linger, her white shirt had slipped half off during the battle, revealing her delicate, bony collarbones and icy pale skin. Blood streaks from overexertion still marked her cheeks, but in those eyes surged an obsession more intense than ever before, 100 times more deranged and possessive. It was the fevered devotion of a goddess cast down from her throne, only to find a mortal had defied heaven and rewritten fate for her. Master, were you protecting Miao just now? Soft little hands wrapped around my neck from behind. I turned around and found Miao's eyes brimming with an obsession greater than ever, 100 times more deranged and possessive. Miao, you're awake. It's all right now. I've killed the Ghost King bride. Before I could finish, Miao forcefully shoved me onto the mattress. Master is amazing. Master smells entirely of Miao's core now. She straddled my waist. Her 6 snowy, fluffy tails formed a massive white cocoon, instantly sealing the two of us off from the outside air. She lowered her head and, with her incredibly soft tongue, slowly licked the dust from my cheek. Master is not human anymore. Master is a half-demon now. That means Master will never grow old and will never leave Miao. With a disturbingly obsessive smile, she pulled out from who knew where a giant black metal collar. Since Master is already a demon, the world outside is far too dangerous for demons. Miao made a brand new safe haven for Master. Click! The cold metal collar locked precisely just beneath my Adam's apple. I followed the dark gold chain attached to the collar with my eyes. In the corner of the bedroom, a tall, ornate black cast iron bird cage had appeared from nowhere. The cage was lined with extraordinarily soft, pure white velvet, and even held my favorite game console. This time, Master will spend lifetime after lifetime in this cage, where Miao will feed Master for all eternity. Just as my scalp prickled and I fell into utter despair, Shen Xiaoyu's phone on the floor, which had never disconnected. Suddenly, Shen Xiaoyu, who had been terrified on the other end of the call, suddenly spoke in a hollow, deathly voice. Brother, it's so cold outside. The woman who saved me just now said she knows you. The next voice to echo through the silent room directly thrust the nightmare we had just escaped into an even more hopeless abyss of terror. Such a supreme pure yang body, hiding in such an exquisite cage. Isn't that a waste? That voice was ice-cold, arrogant, carrying an authority that made one want to submit without resistance. Miao's pupils and mine contracted at once. We would never forget that voice, not even in death. It belonged to the woman who, on the first night, had been crushed by Miao's ghostly blue karmic flames into a sky full of bloody mist. The stunning female chief executive officer, Shuang, opened the door. Shen Lei, your former boss and bride-to-be, has come knocking with your little sister. Those frigid words from the speaker, laden with the judgment of someone above all others, instantly tore apart the bedroom's syrupy, hazy atmosphere. It felt as if all the blood in my body ran backward. Shuang, the woman Miao had crushed into bloody mist on the first day. How could she possibly still be alive? Bang! Miao crushed the phone in her hand. Her face, once twisted with obsessive adoration, became a mask of furious rage and panic. Before I could react, the security door was suddenly ripped apart by an impossibly sharp, cold white divine light. As the light faded, Shuang stepped into the entryway in high heels. She was no longer wearing her business suit. Instead, she wore an impeccably tailored, an impeccably fitted, pure white ceremonial uniform, austere and restrained. Her icy, beautiful face bore none of the deformity caused by mutation. Instead, she was beautiful as a merciless goddess looking down upon all life. In her right hand, she held the collar of the terrified, unconscious Shen Xiao. Surprised, Shuang looked down from above at Miao and me, kneeling on the bed. A perfect, deeply unsettling curve lifted at her lips. What you crushed was merely a clay effigy shell I used in the mortal world, as a high-ranking divine envoy of the Heavenly Tao Judgment Bureau. My divine soul can cast undying projections in the 9 heavens. You hypocritical puppet, always prattling about the laws of heaven. Take your filthy hands off Master's sister. Miao let out a piercing, savage howl. Ghostly blue karmic flames compressed wildly in her palm. Carrying earth-shattering force, they shot straight at Shuang's head. But this time, that one-sided slaughter was turned on its head. Shuang did not even blink. She merely raised her left hand and snapped her fingers. You will not touch a single hair on his head. Seeing Shuang, once crushed into bloody mist, returned by shattering the door, then looked down arrogantly at me and my collar. The max-level great demon who had entrusted her life to me went mad on the spot. She would never allow anyone to destroy the safe haven she had just created for me. This breathtaking cat girl, who a moment ago had been straddling my waist, purring sweetly and coquettishly, to protect my sister and me, let out a piercing, savage howl. Destruction-level ghostly blue karmic flames formed instantly in her palm. With unstoppable, terrifying force, they blasted toward Shuang's head, just as the flames were about to devour everything. A shield of light inscribed with heaven's forbidden words instantly unfolded before her. Miao's ghostly blue karmic flame slammed into it, as if striking a mirror at absolute zero. They froze instantly, then shattered into a skyful of icy blue motes. Ugh! Having lost her primordial inner core, Miao suffered a devastating backlash from the laws of heaven. She screamed and flew backward like a kite with its string cut. She crashed heavily into the black cast-iron cage. She violently spat out a mouthful of blood. Her stunning face was white as paper. Even the cat ears atop her head from the sheer weakness became nearly transparent. Miao. My eyes went bloodshot with fury. In an instant, my mind stopped thinking entirely. Almost on instinct, I shot to my feet and stood between Miao and Shuang. Brilliant blue and gold magical light erupted from beneath my skin once more. The dark gold collar around my neck flared with blinding light. It did not lock me down. Instead, it acted like a tremendously powerful energy stabilizer, perfectly merging the rampaging pure yang blood within me with the great demon's inner core. I threw a punch. The blue and gold pure yang demon flame became a magnificent dragon of light, blasting apart the divine shield before Shuang. The immense backlash finally cracked Shuang's flawless mask. She was forced to let go. Sliding 3 steps back, I caught the unconscious Shen Xiao, shielding her behind me. You think a new white shell makes you impossible to kill? I fixed Shuang with a murderous stare. Utter savagery churned in my mismatched gold and blue eyes. Faced with my half-demon form, powerful enough to kill a ghost king in an instant, Shuang showed no fear. She elegantly adjusted her cuff instead. Shen Lei, your stupidity is revolting. Her icy gaze passed over me and settled on Miao behind me, wiping the blood from the corner of her mouth. You think she forced her source core into your mouth to save you? To help you escape heaven's pursuit? My heart lurched. A fierce sense of dread instantly engulfed me. How naive. Any human body, once forcibly fused with an ancient great demon's inner core, starts a countdown. Shuang's voice was like an ice cold blade piercing my heart. 72 full hours. After 72 hours, your frail human soul will be completely devoured and erased by the inner core, and your supreme pure yang body will become the 9-lived heavenly cat's perfect private breeding vessel. Boom! It felt like a 10,000-ton nuclear bomb had struck my mind. Everything went blank. A breeding vessel. Breeding. She was not saving you. She is turning you into something that will never resist. Something that can only be locked in a cage to provide her with nourishment, a living vessel. Shuang left those cruel words behind. Her body dissolved amid the cold white divine light into a cloud of icy, pure white motes, then scattered and vanished. Enjoy your final 3 days as a human. I will return to reclaim your shell. The faint cold white light faded completely. My whole body went rigid. I did not even dare turn around to look at Miao behind me. Clank! The crisp clash of metal chains rang out behind me. A pair of soft little hands gently wrapped around my waist from behind. Miao's beautiful cheek pressed against my back. Her voice was cloyingly sweet, thick as syrup. It carried a bliss so intense it made my scalp crawl. Oh my! That awful woman spoiled the surprise early. Miao lightly tugged the collar around my neck. She murmured with twisted tenderness, "But it is all right. Master, let us hurry and begin hatching." Master, no. You cannot die. Miao was wrong. Master, do not hurt yourself. The ancient great demon who had just been straddling my waist, commanding everything, now looked like a porcelain doll shattered beyond repair. Scalding tears rained wildly onto my face, while she humbly pressed her beautiful cheek against my blood-soaked demon claw. This max-level killing god who had slaughtered her way through the underworld, begging me not to destroy myself, wept and screamed without a shred of pride, bowing and yielding to an ordinary mortal like me. Just moments earlier, I suddenly shuddered. I desperately tried to pull back, but the dark gold chains around my ankles and the collar on my neck clicked sharply at the same time, instantly pinning me to that spotless, large bed covered in pure white sheets. Miao, you lied to me. You never gave me the inner core to save me. My eyes were bloodshot. Extreme fury and fear made my voice tremble. The tenderness she had shown while fighting the whole world for me had suddenly become deadly shackles. From the very beginning, she had wanted to turn me into a soulless living vessel. How can masters say Miao lied? Miao pouted in deep grievance. Her watery slit pupils instantly filled with tears. A sickly flush reddened the corners of her eyes. Miao gave all 9 of her lives to master. She accused me in that syrupy, tearful voice, yet domineeringly straddled my waist. 6 immensely fluffy, snow-white cattails, gleaming with sacred ghostly blue light, closed at once like 6 colossal pillars of heaven. An airtight, pure white foxtail barrier completely enclosed us within that cramped space. Only by completely erasing Master's soul and replacing it with Miao's demon aura can Master become a perfect, never sick, never escaping work of art. As her words fell, the source core of the ancient great demon within me suddenly began spinning madly. Ugh! I let out an agonized scream. Beneath my icy pale skin, it felt as if thousands upon thousands of parasites had formed, burrowing madly into every limb and bone. Blinding blue and gold light erupted within the tail barrier. My consciousness rapidly began to blur. The memories of Shen lay in my mind were being forcibly overwritten by an overwhelmingly tyrannical demon aura. The 72-hour countdown had begun early. I will never be your puppet. In the utter despair of my soul about to be torn apart, I unleashed a roar like a wild beast. Those gold and blue mismatched eyes, which had just faded, blazed to life again. I forcibly summoned the trace of pure yang demon flame newly fused within me. My right hand transformed into a sharp claw covered in gold and demon markings. But Miao was not my target. My own heart was. Since you want to use me as a breeding vessel, I will crush this inner core with my own hand. Then we all die together. Without hesitation, I swung my sharp demon claw, carrying unstoppable blue and gold radiance. It stabbed viciously toward my own chest. This was the most extreme countermeasure. Self-destructs through overwhelming force was the only bargaining chip I had against this obsessive, unhinged great demon. No. Miao, who had been reveling in twisted bliss a second ago, instantly let out a shrill, desperate scream that broke her voice. Splat! Blood sprayed everywhere. But it was not my chest that was pierced, but Miao's pale, slender hands. At the last possible second, she used both hands to tightly grip my claw blazing with pure yang demon fire. Master, no. You cannot die. Miao trembled violently all over. Huge tears crashed onto my face. Not only did she refuse to let go, she humbly brought her cheek close to my sharp demon claw. Her azure-slit pupils brimmed with panic and pleading, as if she were about to shatter. Miao was wrong. Master, do not hurt yourself. Miao will stop. Miao will not erase Master's soul. Faced with the absolute terror of losing me, This ancient great demon once again yielded without reservation. I gasped for breath. The blue and gold glow around me slowly subsided, but I still held my claw firmly against my chest, not daring to relax for even a moment. Take out the inner core. Now, I demanded through clenched teeth. It cannot be removed. Miao wept and shook her head in despair. Pure yang blood has completely activated the inner core. The 72-hour countdown is an irreversible law set by heaven. Once the inner core leaves your body, Master's soul will instantly be destroyed. Big brother, are you having fun down there? I have been in the cage upstairs, waiting for you for a whole 10 years. As the collar around my neck cracked with a piercing shriek, a thread of pure dark red divine light brutally cinched tight around my throat. That forbidden madwoman, buried away for 10 years, broke through her seal at that very moment to claim my life. The all-powerful cat girl in the outside world was now shaking violently in terror. She could only become a streak of light and desperately try to take me back. Being fought over by two stunning women at once instantly turned the entire bedroom into a doomed prison of obsessive madness. Just moments earlier, I felt as though I had fallen into an ice pit. Was this truly an inescapable death trap? Either my soul would be erased and I would become a puppet vessel, or I would explode and die on the spot. There has to be a way, right? I grabbed the collar of her white shirt and yanked her before me. You are a great demon. You must know how to stop this countdown. Miao flinched at my roar. The white cat ears atop her head drooped weakly. She bit her pale lips, her gaze flickering with tangled emotions. There is only one way. Her voice suddenly dropped to a whisper, betraying her overwhelming fear of something forbidden. In an absolute forbidden zone beyond heaven's laws, if Master can endure the baptism of another extreme power, you can forcibly lock down your soul and devour the inner cores will in reverse. What forbidden zone? Where is it? I pressed her urgently. Miao said nothing. She pointed above our heads. I abruptly looked up where she pointed. At that instant, the bedroom ceiling suddenly became transparent and rippling like water. Amid the intertwining, shifting phantom lights, I could actually see through the ceiling, all the way to the top of this old two-story building. The place I had never entered, the upstairs attic I had been strictly forbidden to enter. In that vast, dim space beneath the slanted roof, there was no dust. There was only a ring of bizarre, vivid, glaring red cord, forming, across the wooden floor, a massive circular ritual altar. And at the altar's center, stood a horrifying, giant black iron cage. Its doors stood wide open. The sight made my scalp tingle. That cage was not sized to hold a cat. It was made to hold a person. Drip, a drop of deep crimson blood, ignored the barrier of physical space, and passed straight through the transparent ceiling, landing unerringly on my cheek. Every hair on my body stood on end. There was someone in the attic's iron cage, and that person was bleeding. In that moment of sheer terror, Shen Xiao, who had been unconscious beside me, suddenly sat straight up like a reanimated corpse. Her eyes remained closed, her expression numb and vacant. Yet from her lips came a voice that belonged neither to her, nor to the Ghost King or Shuang. It was a fourth woman's voice. The voice was ethereal, pure, and clear, yet it carried such venomous hatred and obsessive madness that made the soul tremble in terror. Big brother, are you having fun down there? I have been in the cage upstairs, waiting for you for a whole 10 years. The ethereal, crystal-clear voice was not loud, but it was like an ice needle at absolute zero, instantly piercing every dreamlike glow in the bedroom. Drip, the crimson drop of blood on my cheek, suddenly erupted in a blinding red light. Like a burning brand, it scorched me and made my whole body jerk. I stiffly turned my head toward Miao on the pure white sheets, as if she had witnessed some primal forbidden horror. She began shaking violently. Impossible. I sealed that lowly thing away long ago. For the first time, Miao's normally cool azure-slit pupils filled with naked terror. She lunged at me without a thought for herself. Her 6 snow-white tails curled inward wildly, trying to wrap me tightly within them. Master, run. Get out of this room. That thing upstairs is the real madwoman. But it was too late. The ceiling turned into a sheet of transparent, rippling water. A ring of vivid, glaring scarlet light poured down like a waterfall from the upstairs attic. There was no filthy dust, only bizarre, dark red magical particles carrying a sickly sweet stench of decay. They instantly filled the entire room. Run. Where can Big Brother possibly run? The unconscious Shen Xiao, like a marionette, slowly floated into the air, drawn by the red light. An utterly deranged smile curled across her lips. Crack. The dark gold collar Miao I'd made around my neck suddenly split apart with a piercing crack. A thread condensed from pure dark red light brutally coiled around my neck. An irresistible force from a higher dimension seized me. Ugh! My feet instantly left the ground. That red thread forcibly dragged my entire body through the transparent ceiling. Master! Miao gave a wild, anguished howl, turning into a blue and gold streak of light as she shot after me. Let that lofty dead cat outside. Watch us love each other forever. At the center of the attic's abyssal altar of sacrifice, the rat girl who had survived inside her mother's womb when I smashed it open 10 years ago held out a pale little hand to me obediently. A deranged fixation that chilled the soul flickered in her eyes. Meanwhile, the inner core inside me began devouring me at an exponential rate. Either crawl into the rat girl's velvet-lined cage, or watch the cat girl perish body and soul, then die with her. This death trap set by the breathtakingly beautiful obsessive women finally exploded at that very second. Just moments earlier, Master! Miao gave a wild, anguished howl, turning into a blue and gold streak of light as she shot after me. After a brief feeling of weightlessness, my back slammed hard into the floor. I gasped for air. This was the absolute forbidden zone of this old building. The upstairs attic. It had an abyssal, sacrificial air oppressive, yet immaculate. Across the spacious attic floor, countless vivid red cords intertwined, forming a massive circular ritual altar. At the altar's very center stood a huge black cast iron cage. Its iron door stood wide open. Inside lay a luxuriously soft, dark red carpet. A young girl knelt quietly at its center. She wore an oversized, gray men's shirt worn at the edges but exceptionally clean. Atop her head was a pair of dusty gray, heartbreakingly adorable round mouse ears. Around her slender, pale ankles were heavy black iron shackles. The other end was welded deep inside the cage. Big brother, welcome to Xiaoji's room. The girl slowly raised her head. To clear trails of bloody tears ran down her exquisite, elegant face. Her mismatched eyes, one gold and one black, held a love that was utterly humble, yet feverishly intense. They were fixed on me. Xiaozi. My mind raced. That name. Those mouse ears. That stormy night 10 years ago. Big brother, to save that high and mighty 9-lived celestial cat, smashed a pregnant rat demon to death with half a brick. Xiaoji's voice was incredibly gentle, as though she were telling a sweet bedtime story. That rat demon was my mother. I hid inside her womb and watched Big Brother's pure yang blood awaken this cat. From that day on, I lived in Big Brother's attic, eating the hairs he shed, smelling Big Brother's breath, for 10 whole years. The jarring contrast and terror instantly gripped my heart. A lowly sewer rat demon had been lurking right above me for 10 whole years. You filthy gutter rat. How dare you look directly at my god? Miao, who had rushed up after me, completely snapped. Blinding ghostly blue karmic flames ignited in her palms. Her 6 white tails became a rain of swords, crashing toward Xiaozi in the cage with unstoppable force. But Xiaozi did not even lift an eyelid. She merely tilted her head innocently and softly uttered one word. Bind. Boom. The vast altar of countless red cords on the floor suddenly burst with blinding scarlet light. At that instant, every red cord seemed to come alive, like countless red venomous snakes dancing madly. They instantly pierced Miao's ghostly blue flames. Slash! A sharp, clean sound of piercing rang out. Ugh! Miao screamed in agony. Countless red cords tightly bound her limbs and 6 tails, suspending that once unrivaled ancient demon, like a lamb awaiting slaughter, humiliatingly in midair. You gave your inner core to Big Brother. Now, you're not even as good as a rat. Xiaozi mocked her sweetly. I tried to get up, but under the red light stimulation, the inner core inside me, its countdown-driven devouring force suddenly surged exponentially. Blue and gold demon fire raced madly beneath my skin. Agonizing pain tore through my soul. Big brother, it hurts so much, doesn't it? Xiaozi looked at me with profound heartache. Both hands pressed against the cold black bars. A great demon's inner core is far too overpowering. Big brother's mortal body cannot bear it, but Xiaozi can. Xiaozi has the lowliest fate, so I can contain all this chaotic energy better than anyone. She obediently held out her little hand to me. Come in, Big brother. As long as you enter this cage and transfer the inner core to Xiaozi, the countdown will stop at once. And the price? I vomited blood as I stared hard at her. Xiaozi's smile instantly turned deranged and fanatical. The price is that Big Brother must remain in this cage forever and stay with Xiaozi forever. Let that high and mighty damn cat outside. Watch us love each other forever. It was a vicious, yet impossible to refuse trap, laid out in plain sight. Master, don't. Kill me instead. But don't go in. Miao cried out desperately as she hung in midair. Tears streamed wildly down her face. Big kitty. Big brother's time in the cage. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are yours. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays are mine. When these two utterly corrupted goddesses cast off their disguises and laughed madly in triumph outside the black iron cage, I was consumed by despair as I finally realized it had all been a setup. Just moments earlier. Master, don't. Kill me instead. But don't go in. Miao cried out desperately as she hung in midair. Tears streamed wildly down her face. My vision had begun to blur. The agony inside me left me no time to think. To survive. To avoid being devoured by the inner core, I bit the tip of my tongue, using the pain to preserve my last shred of clarity. Dragging my heavy feet, I staggered step by step toward the enormous black iron cage. Wonderful. Big brother is finally home. Xiaoji's breathing grew ragged, her eyes nearly crazed with excitement. I lifted my foot and painfully stepped over the black iron threshold, entering the cage completely. With a deep, thunderous crash, the enormous black iron door behind me slammed shut. An intricate dark red magical lock welded itself completely shut within a second. I was locked inside this absolute forbidden zone. Xiaozi let out a blissful, breathy moan, then threw herself into my arms, greedily breathing in the scent at my neck. But just as I was about to let her draw out the inner core, then, a faint sound of laughter, trembling with uncontrollable delight, suddenly came from outside the cage. My entire body went rigid. I turned to look. Miao, suspended in midair by red cords, who had just been sobbing in unbearable pain, had stopped struggling. She slowly raised her head. Not a trace remained on her stunningly cold face of grievance or despair. Her slit pupils gleamed with a terrifying, feverish gleam that said everything was under her control. Snap! Miao casually snapped her fingers. The horrifying red cords piercing her body instantly transformed into a sky full of brilliant blue, purple, and pink motes of magic. Not only was she unharmed, she even floated gracefully down from the air. My eyes widened. An intense chill shot through my entire body. Miao slowly, elegantly walked to the black iron cage, gently tracing the cold iron bars with her fingertips. Master, you've been so disobedient. Not only does your body attract filthy things, but you always try to run away. Miao murmured in a sickeningly sweet voice, her eyes brimming with triumphant obsession and madness. So, Miao had no choice but to work with this filthy sewer rat. What? Work together? I jerked my gaze down at Xiaozi in my arms. Xiaozi had not drawn out my inner core. Instead, she obediently lifted her head and gave Miao outside the cage an exceptionally sweet smile. We had a deal, right? Big kitty? Big brother's time in the cage. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays are yours. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays are mine. Boom. My mind exploded. From the very beginning, there had never been any countdown backlash, nor any forced transfer. This was the ultimate scheme devised by an ancient 9-lived celestial cat and a rat demon who had been hiding for 10 years, working together to set an ultimate, multi-layered obsessive long con aimed at me. They used terror and despair beyond measure to force me, willingly, to walk into the world's strongest, most inescapable prison. As long as Master obediently stays in this absolute forbidden zone forged from the rat demon's karmic sins, the laws of heaven will never find you again. Through the iron bars, Miao kissed my fingertips with obsessive devotion. Overwhelming despair and suffocation engulfed me. These two were utterly insane, just as all hope left me, and I was ready to stop struggling. Shen Xiaoyu, who had lain unconscious at the altar's edge, suddenly let out a pained groan. She slowly rubbed her eyes and sat up from the floor. When Shen Xiaoyu saw me in the cage, she froze. Brother, what are you doing in there? Why is the door locked? She got to her feet and casually walked over to the iron cage. Her gaze fell upon that intricate, dark red magical padlock. Miao and Xiaozi frowned at once. They were just about to tell this meddlesome mortal to get lost. But the next second, Shen Xiaoyu made a move that sent chills down the spines of every great demon present. Casually, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a black hairpin. Then, before Miao and Xiaoji's terrified eyes, within Shen Xiaoyu's once clear eyes, there suddenly flashed a glaring, unnatural pink heart-shaped gleam. She expertly slipped the hairpin into the magical lock's keyhole. Her lips curled into a sweet smile, more twisted than Miao and Xiaozi combined. More pathological, more insane. Sisters-in-law. Shouldn't Sundays be my turn? Sisters-in-law. Shouldn't Sundays be my turn? The usually sweet, harmless little sister, Shen Xiao, now held a black hairpin in her hand. Right before her to all-powerful demon sisters-in-law, she was derangedly forcing her way into their plan to keep me captive. That glaring pink heart-shaped gleam in her eyes instantly tore apart the bedroom's cloying atmosphere, driving the two demons who thought they had won mad on the spot. And I, the brother locked tightly at the center, got to experience the joy of loved ones madly fighting over me, heedless of all taboos. Just moments earlier, sisters-in-law, shouldn't Sundays be my turn? Those words, glowing with unnatural pink light, were sweet yet bone-chillingly sinister. They rang out abruptly through the vast second-floor attic. Click! Even ancient great demons found that dark red magical lock troublesome. Yet it shattered beneath Shen Xiaoyu's utterly ordinary black hairpin, like a fragile cracker. Boom! The immensely heavy black cast-iron cage door was effortlessly pushed open by Shen Xiaoyu with a single finger. What are you? Miao outside the cage, and Xiaozi inside it. Both screamed in disbelief. The territorial instincts of these two obsessive great demons were completely provoked in that instant. You dare touch Master's lock? Die! Miao attacked without hesitation. 6 snow-white cattails swept up blinding ghostly blue karmic flames, forming a sky full of icy blue magical blades. Xiaozi struck at the same time. Countless vivid crimson cords shot out like venomous snakes from the altar. Blue and red magical light intertwined into a colossal, devastating net of death, violently crashing down over Shen Xiaoyu's head. But before this absolute force, enough to kill a ghost king in an instant, Shen Xiaoyu did not even try to dodge. She merely tilted her head innocently, her eyes flashing with utter contempt. Mere beasts, and you dare fight me for brother? Shen Xiaoyu casually raised her right hand and snapped her fingers crisply. An utterly pure, dazzling white holy power exploded outward from her in an instant. Those immaculate white barriers of holy light precisely intercepted in midair every ghostly blue karmic flame and crimson cord. It was as though divine will were cleansing the world's filth. The instant Miao and Xiaozi's attacks touched the holy light, not even a spark flew, before they were utterly annihilated into nothingness. How is this possible? This is the pure power of the laws themselves. For the first time, utter horror appeared on Miao's beautiful face. In spotless white sneakers, Shen Xiaoyu ignored the two great demons' shock and walked step by step into the black cast-iron cage. Who do you think has lived day and night beside brother's supreme pure young body for a full 18 years? Who was it? Shen Xiaoyu gave a sickly, deranged smile as pure white divine light coiled around her. 18 years steeped in pure yang aura have long since transformed my soul. I am not a demon. I am a humanoid anomaly of the laws, nurtured by brother's aura. Shen Xiaoyu came before me and gently cradled my face. Brother, demons are covered in germs. They are filthy. Let Xiaoyu take you back to my sterile divine realm and make you into a holy specimen that will never resist. Wouldn't that be nice? Do not touch him. Miao and Xiaozi descended completely into madness. Ghostly blue, then dark red light surged wildly through the attic once more. 3 overwhelmingly tyrannical powers clashed madly within the attic. Brilliant, blinding rainbow light tangled and exploded wildly in midair. And I, like a pitiful trophy, was locked tight at the center of the cage, my soul enduring the agony of being pulled back and forth by 3 obsessive forces. Amid utter humiliation and despair, since you love cages so much, from today onward, I am your cage. Whoever dares take even 1 step away, I will drain her soul dry. Watching the 3 great demons who usually treated me as a captive specimen, now with their necks tightly bound by my dark gold chains, forced to raise their heads in humiliation like pets, I finally gained absolute dominance amid my despair. Yet these utterly fallen mad women did not resist. Instead, my fiercely possessive claim over what was mine ignited an almost crazed, pathological obedience in their eyes. I became the one true king of all the obsessive girls. Just moments earlier, and I, like a pitiful trophy, was locked tight at the center of the cage, my soul enduring the agony of being pulled back and forth by 3 obsessive forces. Amid utter humiliation and despair, the string called reason in my mind finally snapped. Shut up, all of you. I unleashed an inhuman, soul-shattering roar. Boom! The great demon core once suppressed within me, and my own supreme pure yang blood, under the catalyst of my fury, instantly achieved a complete, 100% fusion. A terrifying, Dark gold power, surpassing heaven's laws and all demons, erupted from my heart. My once short black hair instantly grew to my waist in the dark gold glare, turning a magnificent silver white. I suddenly opened my eyes. Within those unnatural slit pupils, one gold and one blue, there was only absolute savagery above all else. Crack! The iron shackles around my ankles instantly crumbled to dust before that power. You want to keep me captive? You want to chain me down? I gave a cold, deranged laugh. With a savage backhand sweep, 3 dark gold chains shot forth like lightning, with perfect precision, irresistibly piercing straight through Miao's foxtails, Xiao's red cords, and Shen Xiaoyu's holy light shield. The ultimate reversal of power, the ultimate dominance. I looked down imperiously at the 3 stunning girls kneeling on the ground. I yanked the dark gold chains in my hand. Since you love cages so much, from today onward, I am your cage. Without my permission, whoever dares leave my side by even half a step, I will drain her soul dry. But I was wrong. I had completely underestimated how twisted these obsessive women could be. Bound by chains, they not only failed to resist, they became utterly obedient instead, overflowing with a rapturous joy bordering on madness. As I watched these 3 utterly fallen mad women, I suddenly felt the intoxicating thrill of absolute power. I had become the king of all the obsessive girls. Just as I thought this farce had finally ended. Beep! A piercing, icy alarm, utterly alien to this world, suddenly blared through the attic's absolute space. The air was violently torn apart by some terrifying, higher dimensional force. A gigantic mark materialized in midair. An ancient countdown sigil glowing ghostly green. Heavenly Tao Judgment, illegal mutant Shen lay detected. He has severely disrupted this plane's causal order. Final judgment protocol initiated. A very tall figure slowly emerged from the light. A woman draped in a holy white cloak. The instant she raised her head, the blood in my veins froze solid. That face was exactly the same as the Shen Xiaoyu I held in my grasp, but her eyes had no pupils. Only hollow voids flowing with pure white divine light. She looked down at us in the cage from on high, raising a finger shining with divine light of destruction. I am the will of the heavenly Tao. Now, are you ready to be erased by divine punishment? This cold divine decree, devoid of emotion, carried an inescapable power of dimensional annihilation, thundering through the attic's absolute space. The higher dimensional, Shen Xiaoyu's fingertip erupted with blinding white deathlight. This light held no warmth, yet carried the terrifying law of reducing all things to nothing. Wherever the light swept, the spotless hardwood floor, the dark red magic altar, even the motes of magical light in the air, instantly became gray-white ash, cracking apart inch by inch, then vanished completely. This was not a battle. It was the higher dimensional heavenly Tao erasing us with a single command. A pathetic heavenly tribulation. Dares lay a hand on what belongs to me. I stood amid the void on the verge of collapse. Utter fury erupted from my unnatural gold and blue slit pupils. I did not evade. Instead, I violently tugged the 3 dark gold chains in my hand. Arg! Miao, kneeling at my feet, Xiaozi, and holy light Shen Xiaoyu. Their slender necks were bound tight by the chains, forcing them to raise their heads. Since you love cages so much, from today onward, I am your cage. Whoever dares leave by even half a step, I will drain her soul dry. I watched the 3 great demons who once treated me as a captive specimen, their necks now tightly bound by my dark gold chains, their heads forced up in humiliation like pets. At last, amid utter despair, I had gained absolute dominance. Yet these utterly fallen mad women did not resist. Instead, my fiercely possessive claim over what was mine ignited an almost crazed, pathological obedience in their eyes. I became the soul king of all the dangerously obsessive women. Just moments earlier, I had violently tugged the 3 chains in my hand. Miao, Xiaozi, and Shen Xiaoyu were forced to raise their heads by the chains around their necks. But instead of fear, my absolute, possessive claim over what was mine drove them into a feverish, pathological frenzy. Pure Yandere on fire. Source sharing. I roared. The dark gold power of the half-demon king within me poured through the 3 chains into their bodies. Boom, boom, boom. 3 brilliant pillars of light shot skyward. Miao's ghostly blue karmic flames, Xiaoji's crimson demon aura, and Shen Xiaoyu's pure white holy light were forcibly stitched together by the dark gold chains, fusing into a blinding, ultimate magical storm. We kneel only to our master. Drawn up by the chains, the 3 obsessive women at the peak of their power rose into the air together. Sweet, Bloodthirsty smiles adorned their stunning faces. They drove that power to its peak. The world-destroying magical storm became a colossal, rainbow-hued blade of fury, meeting the will of the heavenly Tao's annihilation deathlight head-on. Sizzle! The crack of shattering laws exploded wildly through the attic. The entire space was torn into one half of dazzling brilliance, and one half of gray-white collapse, a bizarre spectacle. But the higher-dimensional heavenly Tao's power was ultimately devastated. A futile struggle by lesser beings. A trace of mockery flashed in heavenly Tao Shen Xiaoyu's eyes. She suddenly pressed her palms together. Low rewrite, spiritual power deprivation. Crack! The magical blade the four of us had forged together. The instant it touched that absolute law, shattered inch by inch like glass drained of all color. Uft! Miao, Xiaozi, and Shen Xiaoyu spat out mouthfuls of blood at once. The light around them instantly dimmed. Like kites with severed strings, they crashed heavily beside me. The dark gold chains in my hands began flashing wildly too, on the verge of breaking apart. Brother, we cannot beat her. Xiaozi weakly tugged at my pant leg. A thin, desperate trickle of blood seeped from the corner of her mouth. She is the one who moves the pieces on this plane. Within her divine domain, we are nothing but ants. The chess master. A divine domain. I stared fixedly at that pure white, emotionless shell in the air. Then an utterly insane idea flashed through my mind. If physical attacks in this plane and magical attacks are both erased by the heavenly Tao, then what is the deadliest weapon against a god of absolute reason, absolute purity, and utter indifference? A curse? Something its laws cannot parse. A sick, twisted obsession no god can purify. An emotional abyss sickeningly sweet. Who said we had to challenge her with demon power? An insanely wild smile twisted across my lips. I yanked the three women into my arms. Master. A flicker of confusion crossed Miao's face. Give me every filthy thought in your minds. Every most obsessive thought. Every thought of locking me up and deafening me day and night. Give them all to me, without holding anything back. I gave them no time to hesitate. I forcefully lowered my head and kissed their lips. Boom! This was not a transfer of demon power. It was the ultimate manifestation of pure mental corruption. Miao's suffocating possessiveness of me. Xiaoji's 10 years of shadowy watching. And holy light Shen Xiaoyu's twisted obsession with turning me into a specimen. The three most extreme obsessions in the world, impossible to explain by ordinary reason, were catalyzed by my supreme pure yang blood, instantly mutating into a blinding, pinkish-purple fallen demonic seed. What are you doing? Warning. Unknown source of soul contamination detected. For the first time, heavenly Tao Shen Xiaoyu showed a startlingly human panic. She frantically formed seals, trying to summon purifying divine light. Too late. Taste the sweetest curse of corruption in the world. Lofty Lord Heavenly Tao. I raised my head and drove this pinkish-purple beam, containing the gathered obsessions of three supreme obsessives, violently into heavenly Tao Shen Xiaoyu's hollow eyes flowing with divine light. Ah! This was not a physical scream. It was the wail of this entire plane's laws collapsing. Across the heavenly Tao's clean, pure white body, countless warped, flickering, pink heart-shaped curse marks spread instantly. Upon her once emotionless face, an unnatural flush appeared. Her body began to tremble and writhe violently as though she were human. No. What is this feeling? So hot. I want it so badly. I want Master to possess me. The will of the heavenly Tao. This plane's absolute, emotionless God, under the infection of this ultimate obsessive curse, saw her divinity collapse on the spot. Irreversibly, she developed fallen divine marks of being in heat and submission. So hot. I want it so badly. I want Master to possess me. The will of the heavenly Tao. This plane's absolute, emotionless God, under the infection of this ultimate obsessive curse, saw her divinity collapse on the spot. Irreversibly, she developed fallen divine marks of lust and submission. Warning. Core laws overwritten. Warning. The planar barrier has melted. With the heaven's final agonized crack, the world's ceiling, walls, and cages all became, within the storm, glittering shards swirling through the sky. Space collapsed completely. Blinding light and crushing vertigo swallowed me whole. In the final second before I lost consciousness, I saw only the heavenly Tao's face, identical to Shen Xiaoyu's. Her face sickly flushed, her gaze heavy with a clinging obsession as she fell straight toward me. I did not know how much time had passed. Scritch. The crisp sound of chalk writing, mingled with the lazy summer cicadas outside the window, slowly awakening my hearing. A gentle breeze drifted by, bringing the faint scent of disinfectant and camphor leaves. I struggled to open my heavy eyelids. My vision gradually cleared. Before me was no longer that dark attic, nor the terrifying cast iron cage. This was a bright, modern high school classroom. I looked down at myself. I was wearing a fitted white, short-sleeved school uniform. I quickly reached for my neck and ankles. No collar, no chains. I tried to sense the pure yang demon fire and dark gold power within me. There was nothing. That overwhelming, dimension-crushing power had vanished completely. I had become a completely helpless, ordinary human high school student again. I escaped. The plane had reset. The heavenly Tao had been killed. I gulped down the clean, normal air. The wild joy of surviving almost brought me to tears. It was over. Those twisted, obsessive great demons. Those horrifying evil spirits. That sick captivity. All of it had faded away like a nightmare. Shen lay. You missed yesterday's enrollment check-in. Just as I was drowning in the joy of freedom, the female teacher at the lectern, writing on the board with her back to me, suddenly stopped her chalk. She spoke my name with incredible gentleness. That voice. Why was it so familiar? In that instant, every drop of blood in my body turned cold. The teacher turned gracefully around. She had an exquisitely beautiful, icy, self-restrained face, framed by thin silver-rimmed glasses. Shuang. And it was not just Shuang. When I turned in terror to look around, an overwhelming horror drenched me like ice water. My desk mate on the left was a girl wearing a white fluffy hair clip, whose utterly obsessed gaze was fixed on the side of my face. Miao, the class representative seated in front of me, was biting her nails, while from a carefully concealed angle, greedily inhaling my scent. Xiao. And in the back row of the classroom, the class president wearing a discipline committee armband was smiling at me with a chilling, pink, heart-shaped gaze. Shen Xiao. In this spotless, brightly lit classroom, I was the only boy. This was not a normal reset world at all. Shuang, the homeroom teacher, slowly walked over to my desk. She braced both hands forcefully on its surface. Deep within her formerly emotionless eyes, a hidden pink heart-shaped curse mark flickered. She had been infected by the curse I injected at the very end. Welcome to an exclusive program tailored for you by the new laws. A 14-day cram school under absolute lockdown. Shuang slowly leaned close to my ear. Her voice sickeningly sweet. From today until graduation, until you die, this classroom door will never open again. So now, as your one and only homeroom teacher, I would like to have a taste of Shen Lei's sweet pure yang blood first. May I? Shuang's lips were nearly against my carotid artery. At that critical moment, a deafening blast erupted through the classroom. A ruler shrouded in dark blue karmic fire grazed past Shuang's cheek and buried itself in the blackboard behind the lectern. Sizzle. The immense heat instantly melted a hole through the blackboard. You old hag. You are supposed to set an example as a teacher, yet you are in heat right here. Miao, my desk mate beside me, had somehow risen to her feet. Dark blue karmic fire raged in her slit pupils. Shen Lei is my desk mate. The air he breathes, the sweat he sheds, even a single strand of hair he loses, all of it belongs to me. Miao fiercely declared her claim. 6 snow-white foxtails burst through the hem of her school uniform skirt. They became 6 pillars of white light aimed straight at Shuang. Even if you rule this plane, touch what is mine, and I will blast you into ash. Even after being reset and reduced to a student, she still dared challenge the lofty heavenly Tao teacher with the most reckless rebellion. Oh my, deskmate, you are so fierce. But Big Brother clearly said, he likes it best when Xiao watches him from the front. Xiao, the class representative seated in front of me eerily, turned her head 180 degrees. An innocent smile rested on her face, but her hands twisted frantically beneath her desk. Whoosh! Countless vivid crimson magical threads, like living blood vessels, instantly coiled around every desk and chair in the classroom, carving the entire space into a suffocating red web of death. Teacher, hogging Big Brother during class is naughty behavior that breaks the rules. Naughty children get ground to pieces. Xiao smiled sweetly. Pink heart-shaped gleams flashed wildly in her eyes. Tap! Then came the crisp sound of small white shoes. Walking from the back of the classroom, the class president, Shen Xiao, walked down the aisle, wearing a vivid red discipline committee armband. Dense, pure white holy runes swirled around her. Wherever she passed, even the air warped under sacred laws. Dude to lowly bitches think they have the right to speak of possession. Shen Xiao cast Miao and Xiao a deeply contemptuous glance, then locked her gaze on Shuang. I am the perfect spirit of law, born from pure yang energy. This cram school's barrier cannot stop me. Hand him over to me, or I will self-destruct and take this entire world with me. Insane. They were all insane. Inside this high school classroom, once again shrouded in a glowing aura, 3 supreme obsessives fought to claim me, and openly declared war on the heavenly Dao homeroom teacher. Facing 3 terrifying killing moves, Shuang at the lectern raised a finger and lightly wiped away the curse wound carved across her cheek by dark blue karmic fire. Violation of classroom discipline. Attempted assault on a teacher. Within Shuang's hollow divine eyes, the pink curse mark suddenly flared, completely devouring her reason. Supreme law, descend. Eradicate them all. Leave only him. Boom. For energies representing this plane's greatest powers collided violently in the cramped classroom. There was no messy explosion, only a blinding clash of colors. Dark blue divine fire, crimson threads, pure white holy light, freezing pale light. The entire classroom instantly lost gravity. Textbooks, chalk, and glass shards hung frozen midair in the powerful energy field, refracting gorgeous, dreamlike yet lethal colors. And I, the prize these four monsters were fighting over, was pinned to my seat by raging currents, unable to move. My supreme pure yang power had been sealed during the reset. Right now, I was as fragile as an ant at the center of a storm. Erg. The clash of powers lasted only 3 seconds. Miao, Xiao, and Shen Xiao all grunted at once. After all, Shuang was the absolute law of this cram school. On her own turf, even infected by the curse, her authority remained overwhelming. Bang! A powerful cold white light ray sent the 3 girls flying. They slammed hard into the blackboard at the back of the classroom. Worthless scum. Shuang walked through empty air until she stood before me. Across her face, fully infected by the pink curse, spread a twisted, feverishly lovesick smile. Shen lay. Now no one can disturb our after-school tutoring. Only those who score full marks are worthy of becoming my one and only dog. Who could have expected that? In this inescapable cram school death trap, I would tear open its laws with a single drop of pure yang blood, seize supreme authority by force, and become a half-demon tyrant. I seized the icy homeroom teacher by the throat and brutally slammed her onto the lectern. As I watched the teacher pinned beneath me, her face flushed with an intensely deranged blush, I turned to announce to the 4 utterly consumed madwomen in the classroom, if you want to be mine, then fight for me in this exam hall. Just moments earlier, after sending Xiao, Miao, and Shen Xiao flying, Shuang came before me, wearing a twisted, fanatical smile. Shen lay. Now no one can disturb our after-school tutoring. She forcefully gripped my chin. Crushing humiliation and despair instantly swallowed me. Even after the world reset, could I never escape being kept in a cage, only to be drained dry? Absolutely not. My eyes frantically scanned the weightless classroom, searching for any way out. Then suddenly, my gaze fixed on a floating sheet of cram school rules glowing with eerie golden light. One absolute rule was written there in unmistakable clarity. Rule 4. Within this examination hall, the only thing that can defy the teacher is a perfect score answer sheet. That was the examination hall's absolute rule. Just as Shuang's lips were about to touch mine, I found strength from somewhere and bit through the tip of my tongue. Though my supreme pure yang blood was sealed, even a single drop of its original blood was enough to tear a breach in these curse-infected laws. Uft. I precisely spat that drop of pure yang blood onto the floating school rules. The instant the blood touched the rules, absolute time throughout the classroom seemed to be forcibly paused. Shuang froze mid-motion, her face filled with shock. After absorbing the pure yang blood, the school rules turned into a stream of dark gold light that shot into my brow. Rumble. The sealed dark gold pure yang demon fire rekindled within me in the form of a divine mark. In the blinding light, my once black eyes instantly transformed once more into those gold and blue slit pupils of an absolute sovereign, divine throne of authority, usurpation and progress. A cold heavenly Tao decree resounded in my mind. I sprang to my feet and seized Shuang's slender neck in a domineering grip. I brutally pressed her down onto the lectern. From a powerless student, I had forcibly usurped supreme authority. You want to teach me? I looked down at Shuang, pinned to the lectern, her face flushed with disbelief and feverish, deranged excitement. Sorry, but now, I am the chief examiner. I turned toward those slumped at the back of the classroom, Miao staring up at me with fanatical devotion. Xiao and Shen Xiao. I coldly raised my right hand. An ultimate test paper, glowing dark gold, materialized in my palm. Since all four of you want to be mine so badly, then take a test. A wicked smile curled across my lips. Like a true tyrant, I declare the absolute rule. Only those who earn full marks may survive and become my only dog. As for anyone who fails, before I could finish, beep, 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 the classroom speakers suddenly blared. A piercing air raid siren, the ultimate test paper in my hand, without any outside interference, spontaneously ignited into eerie, ghastly white flames. An ethereal, childlike, yet soul-chillingly deranged little girl's voice. It bypassed my chief examiner authority and used the classroom broadcast system to broadcast the class's first hopeless question, bonus question, to prove your absolute love for brother. Within 10 seconds, all examinees must personally gouge out one of your own eyes and place it on the lectern. The countdown begins. 9. Every drop of blood in my body froze solid. Who was it? In this sealed battlefield of 4, there was actually a fifth, terrifying absol monster forcing its way into my examination hall. Brother, master, did I pass? Before me, 3 girls knelt at the lectern, clutching glowing empty eye sockets. Never in my life had I seen such a mad way to compete for affection, to survive this cruel perfect score test, and keep the other 2 from stealing even a glance from me. These 3 incomparably beautiful girls, right before my eyes, unhesitatingly tore out their most precious origin eyes. They treated this ultimate self-harm as their greatest offering to me, seeing them hold half their lives in their palms, begging for my favor. That twisted privilege of having 3 beautiful Yanderes love me with their lives made the dark gold blood in my veins boil completely just moments earlier. Who was it? In this sealed battlefield of 4, a fifth monster had forced its way in. 8, 7. The countdown echoed through the examination hall like a death knell. I thought this cruel bonus question would make these 3 fanatical mad women hesitate, or even join forces against that unknown voice. But I had completely underestimated what it truly meant to be a Yandere. In their world, obeying the most extreme deprivation was the highest celebration of love. For brother, Xiao can give anything. Xiao, seated in the front row, did not hesitate for even half a second. An intensely deranged flush spread across her face, to fingers of her right hand thrust without hesitation toward her mismatched gold and black eyes. You are not taking first place. Brother loves me most. Miao let out a piercing feline shriek. Her cat tail instantly became an ice blade and slashed straight at her own azure-slit pupil. Only my sacred origin is worthy of brother's lectern. Shen Xiao was even more insane. She drove her hand directly into her own sacred eye socket. Blinding pure white holy light surged wildly through her fingers. They had all gone mad. Not only did they not resist, they instead treated this ultimate self-harm as a way to win my favor. The greatest bargaining chip for an offering to me. Stop. All of you, stop. I am the chief examiner. I order you to stop. My eyes went bloodshot. The dark gold pure yang demon fire inside me erupted, forming 3 magnificent chains. I tried to forcibly restrain their hands, but the fifth force invading the examination hall was overwhelmingly powerful. In an instant, it used an eerie, abyss-tainted, sickly green ghost fire to sever my dark gold chains. 4. There was no grisly spray of flesh and blood, only beautiful motes of magic light scattered apart. 3 dazzling eyeballs, or rather, the origins of their power, were pulled out simultaneously. A deep blue sacred cat eye crystal, a crimson cursed rat eye, a pure white sacred origin core. The 3 beautiful girls clutched their empty sockets, which streamed with luminous motes. Utterly humble, yet fanatical beyond reason, they knelt before the lectern. They offered up the 3 crystals that represented half their lives. With profound reverence. Brother, master, did I pass? 3 weak yet sickeningly sweet voices spoke at once. Meanwhile, Shuang, once the lofty embodiment of cosmic law, was now crushed by this higher dimensional pressure, until even her godhood was collapsing. She huddled trembling in the corner by the blackboard. 2, 1. The countdown is over. What an obedient pack of lowly bitches. The little girl's voice over the broadcast let out a shrill, ear-piercing laugh. The next second, the 3 precious origin crystals on the lectern were suddenly engulfed by sickly green flames that appeared from nowhere. Crunch, crunch, sharp, bone-chilling chewing sounds rang through the empty classroom. That invisible fifth person, right before my eyes, devoured the power cores of Miao, Xiao, and Shen Xiao. Who the hell are you? Show yourself. My eyes bloodshot, I stared at the ceiling. Brother, have you forgotten me already? My scent flows through your veins. Boom! Those words struck me like a dimensional nuclear blast, freezing me in place. The entire classroom began to peel away wildly. The sunlight, the desks, every halo of light scattered through the air like torn paper. In their place was an unfathomable void of pure black. At the center of that void, an extraordinarily bewitching, pure gold and crimson glowing, giant red spider lily slowly bloomed. Within its stamen slept a tiny girl, wearing a magnificent ancient crimson bridal gown. A red bridal veil covered her head. Her flawless bare feet were like cold jade. The moment she slowly lifted her red veil, the coreless Miao, Xiao, Shen Xiao, and even Shuang, the heavenly Tao, all released. A piercing cry of despair. They pressed themselves against the edge of the void, not daring to raise their heads. Brother, are you having fun in this illusion? Your body in the real world belongs to me now. As my sister in reality held a silver craft knife, pressed firmly against the defenseless carotid artery in my neck. The max level battlefield of my soul world shattered completely. That ancient cat demon girl, the emotionless heavenly Tao Shuang, even the strongest red-clad blood spirit born from my own bloodline. All of them were only a fantasy stage deep within my mind. Just as I thought I had turned the tables and become the king of Yandere's, my mortal body had already, in reality, been completely locked away by my own flesh and blood. It had become her forbidden toy, hers alone forever. Just moments ago, when the bride lifted her red veil, the coreless Miao, Xiao, Shen Xiao, and even their homeroom teacher Shuang all released a piercing cry of despair. They clung to the edge of the void, not daring to lift their heads, because the face beneath that veil looked exactly like mine. Only its features were softer, with a sickeningly seductive, breathtaking beauty. Her eyes were pure gold and blue. The pure yang blood has developed a consciousness. I drew a sharp breath in disbelief, my voice trembling. Brother, you're so smart. For 20 years, your supreme pure yang constitution has nurtured the strongest blood spirit in this world. The bride Leslie extended her crimson tongue and licked the lingering spiritual motes from her lips. After absorbing the 3 Yandere's cores, her aura had swelled to a terrifying level beyond words. These lowly demons, the tattered laws of the heavenly Tao, are fit only to be my snacks. The bride drifted lightly down from the red spider lily. Barefoot, she stepped through the void toward me. As she drew near, the once unrivaled dark gold pure yang demon fire within me shrank wildly as though it had met its natural predator. Brother, you keep flirting with all these women, while I, your rightful wife, have spent 20 years jealous inside your body. She came before me and gently cupped my face. That cold touch, yet carrying the intimacy of my own bloodline, made every hair on my body stand on end. This was the ultimate Yandere. From the moment I was born, she had lurked in my blood, with every beat of my heart, watching my every move through the darkest eyes. But it doesn't matter now. Those filthy things are all useless now. I'm the only full mark examine left in brother's examination hall. The bride smiled sweetly. Her body began transforming into a dazzling gold and crimson liquid, seeping through my skin, inch by inch, into my 7 orifices. What are you doing? Get out. I struggled desperately, but under my bloodline's absolute suppression, my body would not obey me at all. What am I doing? Of course, reverse devouring you. I'll lock brother deep in my bloodline forever, and make us one. Her sickening voice echoed through my mind. At that utterly desperate moment, on the verge of my soul being completely replaced, from the corner of my eye, I suddenly glimpsed the ultimate test paper, falling through the void. At some point, the back of the paper had been marked with an eerie Psal oracle. Friendly reminder. Student Shen Lei, the half-demon, you don't truly believe that your real body is still sleeping safely in the real world, do you? That abrupt twist was like a razor-sharp blade of ice, piercing my eardrums in an instant. I snapped my head up. Through the pure black void that was about to close, I saw, beyond the crack in the void, in the real world, inside my rented apartment, my body, without a trace of demon power, my defenseless pure yang form, lying quietly on the bed, and beside my bed, sat an innocent girl in an ordinary white high school uniform, a backpack slung over her shoulders. She held an exceptionally sharp silver craft knife, gently and obsessively prying open the shirt cuff button at my real body's wrist. As if she sensed my gaze, she turned her head very slowly at me, trapped in the void's crack with nowhere left to go. She gave an innocent yet sickly, radiant smile that reeked of madness to the bone. That was the real Shen Xiaoyu, an ordinary human in the real world. Brother, are you having fun in the soul illusion woven by those great demons? You can be their demon emperor in there. In reality, Shen Xiaoyu brought the blade's tip gently against my carotid artery. She whispered in a breathy, deranged voice. But your body in reality belongs to Xiaoyu alone. Brother will never again need the protection of any heavenly Tao or demons. Xiaoyu will personally feed you and clean up your filth for the rest of your life. When my usually obedient, shy little sister, her face smeared with blood, uttered those horrifying words of love with utterly crazed devotion, I finally understood that the real Xiaoyu was the true madwoman. To possess me forever, a helpless mortal, she was using that silver craft knife to precisely cut through my skin, trying to sever the tendons in my hands and feet on the spot. It drove me on the brink of unconsciousness into a berserk fury. Even if I had to take the entire soul world down with me, I would never bow to any Yandere monster and become its dog. Just moments ago. Brother, are you having fun in the soul illusion woven by those great demons? You can be their demon emperor in there. In reality, Shen Xiaoyu brought the blade's tip gently against my carotid artery. She whispered in a breathy, deranged voice. But brother's body in reality belongs to Xiaoyu alone. Those words drenched my soul in glacial cold. The faint scrape of a blade cutting flesh crossed the barrier between dimensions and exploded through my subconscious. Arg. But I was not the one screaming. It was the arrogant blood spirit bride. A deep wound split open across her exquisitely delicate wrist, so deep that bone showed through. Pure dark gold primordial. Blood gushed out like a fountain. She had been born from my pure yang blood. Any injury my body suffered in reality would strike her soul with tenfold, even hundredfold force. She severing brother's hand and foot tendons in reality. The blood spirit fell to her knees in the pure black void, writhing in pain. Nothing remained of her once lofty, godlike poise. Mad woman, that human without any demon power, is completely insane. Beyond the crack in the void, on Shen Xiaoyu's cheek in reality, my body's blood had splattered. She stuck out her tongue and licked it with sick delight. Her eyes gleamed with utterly insane obsession. Once your hands and feet are severed, brother will never again need the protection of any heavenly Tao or demons. Xiaoyu will feed you and clean up your waste herself for the rest of your life. Brother, stop her, quickly. Miao, whose core had been drained, Xiaozi, and Shuang all felt the ultimate terror of their vessel's imminent destruction. They cried out desperately at the edge of the void. Brother, give me absolute control of the body. The blood spirit crawled toward me in utter misery. Her gold and blue mismatched eyes brimmed with madness and pleading. If you drop your soul's final line of defense, I can descend into the real world and tear that mortal to pieces in an instant. Otherwise, we all die. Faced with excruciating pain and life or death, it seemed like the only answer. But as I looked at this group that had dragged me back and forth in the soul illusion, caged and brutalized me the ultimate Yanderes, my mind became crystal clear. At this moment, the agonizing pain from my body in reality was the strongest anchor to shatter this depraved illusion, wasn't it? Hand over control just to be caged by you instead. I suddenly lowered my head and laughed. Not only did I refuse to lower my soul's defenses, I seized the blood spirit by her slender, bleeding throat. What the hell are you? You're nothing but an evil thought born from my blood. At that moment, my gold and blue imperial slit pupils erupted, with dark gold light 100 times brighter than the blood spirits. Since you were born from my blood, then get the hell back where you belong. I opened my mouth with savage fury and aimed at the blood spirit's face, identical to mine, then bit down on that devastatingly beautiful face. This was not a physical bite. It was the pure yang host's absolute reverse devouring of his bonded spirit. Arg. The blood spirit let out an agonized scream. Her body transformed into gold and crimson liquid. I swallowed her in one savage gulp. Boom! The instant the pure black void lost the blood spirit, it shattered inch by inch like glass struck by a hammer. Countless pitch-black fragments and dazzling dark gold pure yang demon fire entwined in a frenzy. Using the searing pain from reality, I hurled my soul like a cannonball at the rift leading back to reality. A heavy heartbeat thundered against my eardrums. I snapped my eyes open. The stinging smell of cheap disinfectant, the ceiling of my cramped rental apartment, and filtering through the window, the cold glow of real-world streetlights. I was back in my mortal body, devoid of demon power. But the danger before me had not passed. The cold silver craft knife had already cut through the skin of my left hand. Shen Xiaoyu was about to precisely slice into my tendons. Caught you. Brother. When the real Shen Xiaoyu saw me open my eyes, she did not back down. Instead, she leaned closer in thrilled excitement. Brother, you brought all the older sisters here with you. Even after I brutally pinned her down on the narrow single bed, my usually obedient little sister showed no fear at all. Instead, heart-shaped gleams lit up in her clear eyes. Who would have thought that after fighting my way back to this powerless body, I would pin her firmly beneath me with one swift roll, and seize the craft knife meant to sever my hand tendons? Yet this little sister, whose knees I had pinned down between my legs, not only relished the humiliation of being subdued by force, but because I dragged the entire Yandere god realm into reality, she erupted into a crazed, bone-chilling giggle. Just moments ago, I was back in my mortal body, devoid of demon power. But the danger had not passed. Shen Xiaoyu was about to use the craft knife to cut precisely into my tendons. Caught you, brother. When the real Shen Xiaoyu saw me open my eyes, she did not back down. Instead, she leaned closer in thrilled excitement. Get away from me. I let out a deeply suppressed roar. My real-world body had no demon power to destroy heaven and earth. But, in that instant, I sharply twisted my wrist, brutally grabbing Shen Xiaoyu's knife-wielding wrist. Using the strength of my core, I rolled over in one swift motion and forcefully pinned her onto the narrow single bed. The craft knife clattered to the floor. I locked both her hands above her head. My legs firmly pinned her knees. I gasped for breath. The wound on my right hand was still dripping blood, but I had turned the tables. It was finally over. I gritted my teeth. Cold sweat soaked my back. Yet Shen Xiaoyu, pinned tightly beneath me, showed no fear at being disarmed. She tilted her head back with sick delight, staring at my face twisted by rage. Within those clear eyes that had once been human, there slowly appeared a blinding, pink heart-shaped gleam. Brother, your eyes? Shen Xiaoyu murmured in intoxicated fascination. A sickly flush spread over her cheeks. My eyes? I jerked my head toward the battered mirror beside the bed. After one glance, the blood in my veins turned to ice. In the mirror, my once ordinary black eyes were still gold and blue imperial slit pupils. And within my shabby, once gray and colorless rental apartment, motes of magical light began floating out of thin air. The dim street light, the moment it touched the window, was forcibly warped into a blinding, eerie neon glow. I looked down in terror, around the single bed where I held Shen Xiaoyu down. At some unknown moment, several vivid scarlet cords had creepily spread across the floor, and in the shadows of the corner, a huge snow-white foxtail flickered in and out of sight, brushing the floor in a tantalizing sweep. It was not over. I had devoured the blood spirit. It had not only awakened me. More terrifyingly, I had forcibly dragged that dazzling, utterly insane Yandere god realm into the real world. The mundane laws of reality had been utterly torn apart by the dark gold pure yang power within me. Brother, you brought all the sisters into Xiaoyu's world. Shen Xiaoyu savored being pinned beneath me, letting out a bone-chilling, coquettish laugh, just as my scalp went numb. Unsure how to face this utterly broken reality. Thud. A terribly heavy, painfully slow knock sounded beyond my rental's flimsy security door. It was accompanied by an intensely pungent odor, a blend of exotic fragrance and thick blood stink, pouring wildly through the crack beneath the door. From outside the door came an utterly hollow, yet hauntingly familiar and human echo. Ding dong. Heavenly Tao judgment reminds you. Your cast iron cage for absolute confinement has arrived. Mr. Shen Lei, your 72-hour real-world survival trial has been forcibly activated. Please open the door and welcome your wives. Anyone who has dated Yandere great demons knows how terrifying they become when their possessiveness takes over. They will not only confine you to the bed anytime, anywhere, but when jealousy strikes, they can reduce everything around them to rubble with world-shattering magic. Even if you glance once too often at another woman, they can rip that woman's soul apart and reverse devour it on the spot. Please open the door and welcome your wives. The cold voice outside had barely finished when, boom, the security door, worth tens of thousands, did not last even a second. It shattered into snow-white chunks of ice across the floor. The newcomer was none other than the lofty heavenly Tao, Shuang. She held a massive iron animal trap and stared coldly at me. Illegal mutant, Shen Lei. Your 14-day closed remedial program has begun. Prepare for dissection. But before she could finish, a terrifying mass of ghostly blue fire shot from behind the leather sofa to the ceiling. Dissect my ass. You dare come to the real world and steal my master. I will burn you to ashes. Miao lunged like a madwoman, tearing and biting at Shuang's face. At the same time, from the shadows of the closet, Countless crimson cords slithered out like venomous snakes. Xiao, the rat girl, had gone completely mad. She used the red cords to seal off every escape route for Shuang, the heavenly Tao's white light, the cat girl's blue flames, and the rat girl's red cords. These three monstrous powers could level an entire city block. They were about to collide. In that second, looking at the man-eating monsters filling the room, and the deity outside holding a bear trap, all the blood in my body rushed to my head. My own sister had cut my skin. Great demons had tortured me one after another. And now even the heavenly Tao wanted to carve me up. 20 years of pent-up humiliation and resentment exploded all at once. Either way, I was dead. Today, I would go all out against you crazy women. I shoved Shen Xiao off the bed. Then I forced myself one huge step forward, using my flesh and blood to stand at the very center of their clashing powers. With bloodshot eyes, I screamed curses at them hysterically. Fight! If you have the nerve, do it now. Blow this place apart. I ripped open my collar, thrusting my unprotected chest before their world-destroying magic. I roared like a madman. Look carefully. I am a mortal who would shatter at the slightest touch. If any one of you dares spark even the tiniest flame in this room, you will not need to settle who wins. I will spit blood and die right in front of you. Come on, do it. None of you will ever have me. We die together. That shout stunned every demoness in the room who had been ready to destroy the world. The ghostly blue blaze that would have burned everything died instantly. The red cords raining through the air fell to the floor with startled slaps. Shuang, the heavenly Tao, held her glowing animal trap and froze rigidly in place. They were all terrified senseless. Only then did these mad women remember why they had chased after me like lunatics, even fighting viciously in the illusion realm. It was all because they loved me with obsessive devotion and wanted me all to themselves. If I died now, after everything they had done, all they would have was a cold corpse, watching these monsters who could destroy heaven and earth outside. Now pale and trembling from a single sentence of mine, I wiped the cold sweat from my brow and cursed under my breath. Damn it, so these lunatics were this terrified of me dying. Since you're afraid of that, then I make the rules in this apartment today. I let out a cold laugh. I reached back and grabbed the 3 dark gold chains forged from pure yang primordial blood. Without even looking, I yanked them back hard. Shuang, Miao, and Xiao, these 3 formidable powerhouses, feared everywhere they went, were simultaneously dragged by the chain's supreme power and crashed to their knees on the carpet at my feet. If you don't want me dead, then keep those world-ending powers of yours, along with your pathetic jealousy, locked deep inside yourselves. I looked down at them from above. From today on, this apartment is your only absolute territory. The 4 of you. If anyone dares use even a trace of power to fight in this apartment, if anyone hurts another, or ruins my mood, or makes me cough up even a drop of blood, I will immediately sever her link to the pure yang blood and cast her out forever. She will never see me again for the rest of her life. For these Yanderes, the words cast out forever were 10,000 times more terrifying than being carved to pieces. All for women went deathly pale. Then a twisted, abject obedience wildly grew in their eyes. As long as they could stay by brother's side, even being leashed like pets was 10,000 times better than being abandoned completely. Miao will obey master. I will never use my power recklessly again. Please don't abandon me, master. The 9-lived cat girl humbly pressed her pretty face to the top of my foot. Her body shook like a sieve. Anyone who has caged Yandere demonesses knows how impossible it is to make them behave obediently. Their twisted possessiveness can drive them at any moment to cut to pieces any living thing that comes near you, or imprison you in an abyss the moment you let your guard down. For an ordinary person, encountering even one would mean life behind bars. Yet I had done the exact opposite. In this small city apartment, I had rounded up every last one of them. Now, I look down at the 4 women. From today on, whichever one of you dares use even a trace of power to fight, or hurts another and ruins my mood, I will immediately sever her link to the pure yang blood and cast her out forever. She will never see me again for the rest of her life. The moment I said cast out forever, the air seemed to vanish from the living room. To these Yanderes, it was 10,000 times more terrifying than being carved to pieces. All 4 women went deathly pale. Shuang suddenly raised her head. Her fingers instinctively dug into the floor, her nails scraping harsh white marks across the marble. Shen Xiao, even more terrified, threw herself at me and clung tightly to my knees. She even stopped breathing. Then a twisted, abject obedience wildly grew in their eyes. as long as they could stay by brother's side. Even being leashed like pets was 10,000 times better than being abandoned completely. Miao. Miao will obey master. I will never use my power recklessly again. Please don't abandon me, master. The 9-lived cat girl hurriedly drew back, the restless ghostly blue karmic flames behind her. Humbly, she pressed her pretty face to the top of my foot. Her body shook like a leaf. To prove her loyalty, she even deliberately pinned all 6 tails tightly beneath herself, making herself look completely at anyone's mercy. Xiaozi swears. Xiaozi will be good. I promise. The rat girl's scarlet tears splashed onto the carpet. She kissed the carpet with feverish devotion, while glaring fiercely at Miao beside her, then snarled through gritted teeth. Whoever makes brother angry, Xiaozi will bite her to death. I will never cause brother trouble. Even Shuang, the heavenly Tao, who had been so lofty moments ago, and wanted to dissect me, now, under my absolute control over her fate, lowered her noble head. Her sacred, pure white uniform was creased at the knees in humiliation. Behind her gold-rimmed glasses, her eyes flickered. With a blush of humiliation and obsession, she closed her eyes. A few words came painfully from her throat. As you command, my master. I took in the scene with satisfaction, and gave a sharp tug. With a crisp metallic clatter, I fastened the other ends of the 3 dark gold chains tightly around the pillar of the marble island in the living room. The instant the chains went taut, the 3 great demons lurched forward uncontrollably, yet did not even dare think of resisting. Good. I turned and sat on the wide leather sofa. I arrogantly propped both feet on the coffee table and loudly announced the final rules of this luxury apartment. Since you all agree, you will follow my rules. In this home, there is no heavenly Tao, and there are no great demons. You are all my maids, to stop you from tearing my home apart over petty jealousy. Starting today, my day will be divided into 4 fixed time slots. The 4 of you will take shifts according to the schedule. My gaze passed over each of their faces, as I issued an absolute order. In the morning, Shuang handles my daily routine and washing. In the afternoon, Miao attends me during my nap. In the evening, Xiao cooks and feeds me. As for the night, Xiao, you will keep me company in bed. This utterly unfair, yet absolutely controlling arrangement was announced, and the 4 women's expressions instantly changed. The once calm living room immediately seethed with hidden tension. Shuang clenched her fists, her knuckles turning white. Inside, she screamed, "Why should a mere mortal get the night all to herself?" Xiaoji's eyes were full of resentment. Several hair-thin red cords twisted uneasily in the shadows. Miao bit her lip jealously, nearly biting her lower lip until it bled. Meanwhile, Shen Xiaoyu openly wore a smug, falsely sweet smile. She deliberately snuggled closer into my arms and gave the other 3 a provocative glance. Then she could sweetly, "Oh my, brother gets cold at night. Xiaoyu will make sure his bed is nice and warm, so there is no need to trouble you, big sisters, with worrying about it." Before the other 3 women could erupt, I coldly laid down one final ironclad rule. Listen the hell up. When one of you is on duty serving me, the other 3 will stay put beside us and watch with red eyes. If you cannot learn how to please me, then learn properly from the one on duty. Master, do not look at her. It is Miao's turn for a tail massage now. Watching the little cat girl before me, her eyes red from crying, desperately dragged herself over on the dark gold dog chain and clung to my calf. I finally understood how terrifying these lunatics' jealousy was. When one person is serving me, the other 3 will stay put beside us and watch with red eyes. If you cannot learn how to please me, then learn properly from the others. The moment I said that, the entire living room fell deathly silent. Any one of these demonesses could punch a hole straight through the earth. Yet they watched me lounge arrogantly on the leather sofa, without daring to breathe too loudly, because they understood better than anyone that I, this fragile mortal, was now the strongest leverage holding every one of them in check. All right, quit standing around like idiots. The morning rules. Understand. I stretched my bare foot forward, my heel tapping the expensive carpet. Without even raising my eyes, I called out, "Shuang, come here. Put my shoes on." The moment I said that, the air turned ice cold. Chained beside the marble pillar, Xiao and Miao abruptly looked up, their eyes filled with venom. Near the bedroom door not far from me, Shen Xiaoyu bit down hard on her lip, her fingers nearly tearing apart the hem of her school uniform skirt. That was Shuang, the heavenly Tao. She controlled the laws of higher dimensions, a merciless goddess who could erase all things with a glance. and I was making her act like a lowly maid, kneeling on the floor to put shoes on a mortal. Shuang's icy, otherworldly beautiful face visibly stiffened. Dressed in that sacred white uniform, she stood frozen in place. A flicker of a goddess's innate resistance passed through her cold eyes. What? Is the great heavenly Tao feeling wronged? I gave a cold laugh, casually pretending to pull my foot back. If you do not want to serve me, forget it. The door is over there. From now on, do not even think of setting foot in my home again. I'll do it. Before I could even tell her to get out, Shuang's mental defenses instantly collapsed. In her once emotionless eyes, a panic pink glow suddenly flashed, terrified that I would truly drive her away. She did not even stop to walk. Instead, stumbling forward in a frantic, miserable rush, she dropped heavily to both knees on the carpet at my feet. The goddess who had once stood above all others now lowered her head meekly. She extended the hands that once shaped the laws of the universe. Awkwardly, yet carefully lifted my foot in her palms. Brother's foot. How dare you touch it? Shen Xiaoyu's eyes went red as she watched from nearby. Through gritted teeth, she forced out a curse. Miao was so enraged that her 6 tails wildly lashed the floor. Her claws scraped against the expensive marble pillar, making a piercing sound. She watched Shuang's movements with jealousy. Under the spiteful stares of the other 3 women, Shuang did not lose her temper. Instead, the privilege of having me to herself seemed to excite her. Her breathing grew rapid. Clumsily, she slipped the cotton slippers onto my feet, but she did not let go at once. Instead, greedily pressing her cheek against the top of my foot, she gently rubbed against it. Student Shen lay. Shuang raised her head to gaze up at me. On her normally frigid, ascetic face, an intensely pathological flush had bloomed across her face. Her voice was soft enough to melt. I've put them on for you. Tell me, am I learning to be a proper maid? Watching the goddess who had once wanted to dissect me, now utterly controlled by my mortal body, brought so low she was practically in the dust. An indescribable, overwhelming thrill shot straight to the top of my head. Dominantly, I reached out and seized her exquisite icy chin, forcing her to meet my imperial slit pupils, one gold and one blue. Not bad. My thumb brazenly stroked her burning lips. With a cold smile, I glanced at the other 3, who were nearly mad with rage. See that? Even the lofty heavenly Tao knows how to serve someone. If you still cannot learn to rein in those rotten tempers, you will not even deserve to kneel here and watch her. At my praise, Shuang, the obsession in her eyes deepened at once. Eager to please, she closed her eyes and obediently pursued my fingers with her lips. In that intensely intimate moment, as I was about to savor the goddess's service, a flash of snowy white rudely shoved its way in. Miao will not watch. Miao can serve master too. The 9-lived cat girl, her eyes rimmed red, actually dragged herself along by that dark gold chain, crawling over to wrap her arms around my calf. She looked up at me with tear-filled eyes. Master, morning is already over. Now, it is Miao's turn for a tail massage. Master, are Miao's tails soft? Miao only thinks about how to make master feel good. Who could have imagined that in this sun-drenched luxury apartment, the 9-lived cat girl who had slaughtered her way through the underworld wore a silver bell, wearing pure black thigh-high stockings that framed a teasing strip of bare skin, using 6 snow-white foxtails, soft as the finest cashmere, as a heated blanket. Her boneless body fitted snugly against mine. She rubbed her fluffy white cat ears against my palm, while feeding me purple grapes with her lips. She treated this world-shaking tenderness, lavished solely on a mortal, as a privilege to flaunt before the other 3 women. Just moments earlier, at 2 in the afternoon, before the luxury apartment's enormous floor-to-ceiling windows, brilliant sunlight poured over the wide leather sofa. This was my time to indulge. I lounged lazily on the sofa. Miao, the 9-lives cat girl, wore those pure black over-the-knee stockings that framed a teasing strip of bare thigh. A delicate silver bell hung from her neck. Her entire body was soft as if boneless, pressed perfectly against my chest. Her 6 tails were even softer than the finest snow-white cashmere. They comfortably wrapped around my entire body. Their tips obediently gave off a trace of clear, ghostly blue karmic fire, like a high-end heated blanket kept at the perfect temperature. They warmly attended to my fragile mortal body. Master, are Miao's tails soft? Miao obediently peeled a translucent purple grape, holding it between 2 pale fingers, then seductively fed it into my mouth. With the fluffy pair of white cat ears atop her head, she eagerly rubbed my palm, while tilting her head and casting a provocative look at the 2 chained beside the marble pillar. Oh my, Unlike certain winning goddesses who cannot even smile, or some filthy rat fit only to hide in the gutter, Miao only thinks about making master comfortable. The moment she said that, the air in the living room corner instantly froze. Xiao, hiding in the closet's shadows, was so jealous. Her eyes nearly bled. She bit down hard on her own thumb, her teeth nearly sinking into the flesh, accompanied by her intensely unhinged panting. Dozens of vivid scarlet ropes writhed wildly in the shadows behind her, as if they meant to grind up the sofa and Miao into bloody pulp on the spot. The moment a trace of that terrifying, suppressed demonic aura leaked out, my mortal chest immediately tightened. I did not even shift my body. I merely lifted my eyelids impatiently. My imperial slit pupils, one gold and one blue, swept coldly across the living room, locking onto Xiao in the shadows. I coldly uttered 2 words. Want a beating? Those 2 casually spoken words were more effective in this house than any law of heavenly thunder. Xiao trembled all over in fright. The crimson ropes filling the air instantly recoiled like dead snakes. She knelt humbly in the shadows, weeping tears of blood, while frantically smashing her forehead against the floor. She feared that in my anger, I would forever take away her privilege of feeding me dinner that night. Watching that great demon, who could slaughter a city with a flick of her finger, now terrified by a single look from me to even breathe loudly, I contentedly swallowed the grape in my mouth. I reached out and grabbed Miao by the nape. Like teasing a prized pet, I vigorously rubbed her white ears. Miao immediately let out a pleased, sickeningly sweet, bone-deep moan. Brilliant sunlight, the service of a soft, fragrant beauty, and several nearby gazes, so jealous they were nearly driven mad, yet utterly helpless. I leaned back on the leather sofa and closed my eyes. I sneered arrogantly to myself. Fuck. Keeping the universe's most dangerous monsters penned up like dogs felt so good it made my scalp tingle.